It is Monday. This is the EST Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar, the top Caesar brand in the country, available in both original and variety 12 packs. This is the plaid edition of the EST Hangout, as Matt Iwanyk and Tom Gazzola with you here in our plaid shirts, just twinsing. And joining us today, Dave Jamieson and Derek Friendies from NHL.com.
I feel like we walked into the grunge scene in Seattle, hey?
I missed the memo. We're at Red Day. Plaid. I don't think I've owned any plaid.
He looks very nice. I look very nice. JMO looks amazing.
Yeah. So
you look okay.
Yeah.
You've never had plaid?
I don't think I have anything plaid right now. Like if you said to me, "Come wearing something plaid," I'd look at my closet and go, "I have nothing plaid."
You're telling me the Edmonton Sun didn't have a team-issued plaid shirt?
Just the
back
colors.
like a bad promotional item?
All my years at the Edmonton
good.
Sun, they gave me one little rain jacket. And
Really?
Yeah, 20 years there. I didn't even, yeah. So...
We struggled at
Unlike
1260.
NHL, which brings me packages every week.
Right.
We were picking stuff out the other day.
He's getting stuff. He's like, I have X amount to spend. What should I get? And there's like this, all the new stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is actually really
Oh, you
nice.
got to pick and choose what you get too.
Yeah, every
That's
time they
nice.
still go to an event, they said, "Hey, so we're whoever's making the apparel for that particular event wants people to wear it.
Of course.
They want to show it off. They say, "Hey, that looks nice. Where do I get this?" And so they say, "Hey, what would you like to wear?" And kind of to show off for our apparel.
And it's all
So
good
you're like
stuff.
a living mannequin.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't have to buy clothes ever again. Once they start making jeans, NHL jeans, I'll be set.
Yes. Dungarees.
NHL jeans and underwear, I'm good to go.
Hey, they do socks, I think. Or there's got to be some sort of NHL socks you can get.
Probably. They have like the face. I remember
Should get-
Larry Ring. He sent in Gretzky
Yes.
socks. I have them. I've worn
those.
them.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
So
I've
there you
seen
go.
those,
We
yeah.
didn't have that at the old place where we got the shopping list of what we wanted. We had
Well,
those
we
one.
started well, and then by the end, you were fighting over the pen that was left in the studio,
Well-
or the one that maybe you brought from home.
Well, the last thing we got, do you remember the pullover hoodie that people couldn't get their head through the
Yes.
nickel? Because you couldn't get it back. We got these new golf things that as you pull them through your head, they wouldn't fit.
No.
They wouldn't fit
Terribly
Wouldn't fit-
designed.
You could unzip it and stuff, and it wouldn't fit in your head. Or then if you powered through and got it through your head,
Couldn't get it off.
it was a hell of a time to get that back off.
And
still have
I'm not proud of this, but I went to them because I'd come back from my illness, and I said, "Hey, listen, I don't mean to be that guy, but I've just had my head radiated for 6 weeks, so it's probably a little smaller than it once was. I can't get my current head through this thing here. It's like a
It was
blowhole.
weird.
I still have mine.
Same.
I'm
They didn't
sure you
replace
do.
mine. They replaced a few of you, but they're like, "Well, can it kind of fit?" I was like, "Yeah," and that was the mistake I made. Is I said yes, and they're okay. Well, that's we'll just don't change a few of them. I was like, "Okay, cool. I guess I'll."
As we
live with
learned, our
this.
previous employer had bigger issues
Yeah.
Hey,
than wearables.
I just a quick trip down memory lane here. This is fun. The studio. I remember whenever I'd fill in for Dustin, you had a chair that you liked.
I had
And-
a chair I hated, but
Oh, the
yes.
chair you hated. Yes.
Sure.
And I would always when I finally caught on, I would always finally use a different one to make sure that yours was good, and you didn't get that weird warmth from someone
hate
sitting
the
in
warm
it for
chair.
four hours. But I just remember you'd come in there and you would just get this piece of crap out of it, and then I would go and we'd have six chairs lined up in the hallway and they would all be busted. And I was like, do you think we're ever going to get new ones? And I think you just said no and walked away.
Yeah, we led the league in useless stuff no one else wanted.
Yeah.
I know some hockey teams like that have been that. Not currently. That's
Right.
not a hot take.
Us producers kept we all had our own chair.
You did,
So
that was the
basically-
key.
Well, because it was the number one. I don't want to sit in a warm chair.
No.
And so Eric's the only one. He comes in. There was already a chair, and then for a while, Hernan or Remchuk would come in. And
Yeah.
they'd take a different chair because Eric would do work, and then Eric would leave and take his chair out, and I'd bring a different chair in, and Remchuk would work, or Hernan would work on their chair in a different spot, and then Connor had his chair.
There's a real
his was a
etiquette
different
to chair
one.
transfer.
There was we never no one
Yeah.
ever. Everyone also had their own chair that they preferred, and there was four of us and stuff, right? So we
Right.
took
Well,
control of it, I guess, as producers.
You're artists, right? You're artists, and so you want the right
I
environment.
was a maestro on that board.
Yes.
You were.
Actually,
Yes.
I will say of everything of that place I miss the board the most.
It seemed impressive.
Not the people, which is so Iwanyk. He misses a piece of equipment. something with no personality.
not the
But the
people.
people, no, I don't even remember their names.
They're all gone.
Yeah, they're all gone.
Yeah, there's nobody
yes, they're
left.
all gone, Maddie.
JMO, that day when I asked the subtle look.
Yeah.
When I asked you that day, I think I was still like relatively new there. And I was like, I was going to you as a sign of hope. I'm like, well, JMO probably knows. And I'm sure if, we bring it up, we'll eventually get new chairs. And the way you said no and just walked away.
Yeah, I think
it
I
just
knew then.
gutted
I think we
me.
knew. Yeah, I think I knew then. We
Answer
were.
that question.
No, gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
at our old shop, we was the same thing. Everyone's looking for a good chair, but then we had 5 floors to go and scrounge for a chair.
Oh.
Right? And then,
Yeah.
if you did find the good chair, you held on
Gone.
to that thing.
I mean, you took that thing home at
Yeah,
night.
pretty much. You locked
Yeah,
it up.
put it in the
right
back of the
your
car.
desk almost.
Some
There's
people
gonna be
took
gone
chairs
tomorrow.
from a boardroom, and we got an email like a month later being like, if anyone took any of these chairs, bring them back. And it was like this big deal. And they were actually pretty crappy chairs anyways. Like they weren't even that significant. And then Dave stole a few things from a different part of the building and brought them over. We got these big emails about, what did you take? It was a laptop or it was a monitor lift.
Yeah.
And you took something else.
Retail value, maybe 12 cents.
And by stealing, I mean just like
Maybe,
he
but
took it from one
one
area
area
to
to-
us because in COVID no one was there.
Yeah.
And so we took
I was
everything.
repurposing.
And he came in, he repurposed some things from an area that basically no one was in, and then all of a sudden he happened to do it. And that was the week they started coming back, and they noticed.
Yeah.
And we got this big email about, hey, where are these things? The best part was Dave brought them back, and they didn't realize Dave's the one that took them because there was an email that went out and said, thanks to Dave for finding these and bringing
And I
them
got
back."
everybody an ice cream party.
Yes, we
They
won
had
an ice cream party because Dave found the stuff
And
he
I was
stole.
like, I gave them the finger pistols. Happy to help.
That's awesome.
Happy to help. Crime dog McGruff.
He was the best. He would be when he was on the when he was on the prowl for something. Like, look out, stay out of his way, man. He was a hot tamale, and you didn't want to be down his path.
Yeah, when we got that email, Eric and I just started laughing that we were getting an ice cream party because Dave found the stuff.
Wait a
that
minute,
Dave and Eric and I were like, he stole it.
Well, you know.
So if we ever want an ice cream party, I guess just take some
Sure.
things and wait till they send the email and give it back. But now we'll just do ice cream. We will have to do summer ice cream
We can
parties
do
here.
an ice cream party.
We'll just and you guys are
You
all
guys
invited.
can do anything
Yeah.
in this new
Yes, we
format.
can.
It really is a lawless society.
It is
Mostly,
now. Yeah.
mostly.
Yes.
There are
Yeah,
no rules when it comes to the internet.
YouTube. We only have to follow the YouTube rules, basically.
Yeah.
What are
long
they? Are they
don't
just
know.
sort of a loose
like
kind
no
of
nudity?
understanding? No nudity.
Nudity is
Well,
not allowed on YouTube.
It's partial.
Which is a
out.
shame. I don't know what else, like no real violence or anything like that.
Oh, good.
So like
So we can
those
still
type of
do the
things.
fake
That's-
stuff.
You have to
DVD
go
is
to the
big into
dark
that.
web for that stuff.
DVD, looking at you,
Yeah, look at me.
looking at you.
South American.
Yeah.
Assassin.
Yes.
Taking people out.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone ready for Christmas? Oh, everyone done everything?
When is that this year? Is it on 25th again this year?
Still.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still we're still keeping strong.
I have
We
no
haven't
idea.
moved it up yet.
No.
This Randy Ambrosi hasn't gone involved to change
Well, let me
the
try
date.
it. What day of the week is it's coming up, right? I'm really bad for Christmas.
I think
It's Monday. It's Christmas Day.
I'm the 23rd.
Monday's
We are a
Christmas
week
Day.
away
Yeah.
from Christmas Day.
Right.
Week away, okay.
Yeah, Christmas
So
Day
I
is
gotta
next
wait to go
Monday.
shop. Good thing the orders are out of town. So
Well,
I'm
just-
that
Amen.
You
guy.
should have just used your NHL money
Yeah.
for that.
I could have
Good
got
point.
gifts for people.
Yeah.
Everyone
I've done that
gets a
before.
quarter
Well,
zip
hold on.
with a shield on it.
At this time, what is it? The 19th? What's today?
Sure.
Today's 20th. Anyway,
No,
this
not-
time last year I was in Qatar. Everyone got Qatar jerseys for or
18th.
t-shirts. for
18th,
Christmas.
dude.
18th.
Yeah, you've got
That's a
an extra
good
day.
play.
One more day. So last year, I think the World Cup final was on December 19th, as I recall. So that's where we were last year. So coming home, I just swung by the FIFA store and everyone got FIFA stuff for Christmas.
I have a question for
That's a
you.
good way to
not
do
to
it.
not
Also, Dusty's just saying we need to move this mic a little closer.
Oh,
Or break it,
completely.
whatever.
broke it completely.
Dusty
to
wanted
that
us to move it.
story that
Yeah.
that I read recently. John Herdman talking about. Did his sister die not long before World Cup?
Yeah, I
Did he
think
not now say, in hindsight, it might have been better for him and maybe the group as a whole to have stepped away?
Well, yeah, he said he wasn't in his right mind. Like, and he said he did some things that were very on John Herdman like.
Okay.
Calling out the corrections for one. Was not a very bright.
Didn't work out
move. It
for
didn't
us.
work out well. But he wasn't there, and And after one of the games, he wasn't around to shake a coach's hand. I don't know if it was a Croatian coach or someone else.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
There was questions about the tactics. So I think he just, looking back, his mind was somewhere else and not completely focused on the task at hand, because there were a lot of questions about his tactics and what Canada was doing and the lead up to that. And there was it just seemed like being there and being with the small group of Canadian journalists that were there, Canada just seemed so overwhelmed by the whole thing. And that this is not just the coaching staff
you're not talking about just the team on the field,
no,
but the whole infrastructure.
Whole infrastructure.
Yeah.
From the president on down.
They
What are
can't
you
play
guys
at that
doing?
league.
You guys have no idea what you're doing. And it actually came to a head once, following going into the third game, just how disorganized they were and how FIFA's everything FIFA is to the second. If kickoff is at 9 o'clock,
To 9
it's
o'clock.
at 9
9
o'clock.
o'clock.
It's at that they count down the seconds to 9 o'clock. And there was a couple of instances where the Canadians just weren't ready. They were running. There was one instance where you go and they have the national anthems, and you go and you take the team picture. Everything is orchestrated. You take the team picture. You do this. Okay, and you're lined up, ready to go when they count down the kickoff. Well, for some reason, the Canadians took the team picture and they all scattered and they all started kicking balls around. And then you have a FIFA representative going, guys, I know it's your first World Cup, but we got to take a team picture here. Like, every other team had it down to a science, and in Canada, you're kind of like herding cats and trying to get them.
It's
to
like
take
a
team picture.
Timbits team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, and you're watching this from the stands going, where are they going? Where are they going? Like, they have to take the team picture, and then you see like a Canadian guy and a FIFA guy trying to round these guys up, and it was just such a disaster. Not just on the field. I didn't think it was a disaster as much on the field. It could have been a lot better, but just everything surrounding Canada.
There's a lot of growing up to do. Is my sense, and I am an outsider peeking over the fence, looking in on soccer, but with the reporting, people like you do, what Bruce Arthur has done, and lots of others who are close to that team.
Yeah.
Is Canada has these great aspirations, and we should when you've got Alphonso Davies and all the others who were there, but the whole ecosystem around those two programs is it's like house league.
It is. It's you got people running show that don't belong there.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of the problem was there's Canadian media that went there. Some spent their own money to get there to be there, and they treated us like they were doing us a favor. Oh, we'll get you to talk to this player. You can talk to this player. And I remember I had it out with one of the CSA people, and I said, listen, I've talked to Lionel Messi. I've been in Lionel Messi press conferences 3 times already. Talked to Harry Kane twice. I've talked to like all these great stars, and I've yet to see your star player. Like, you haven't made your star player available to the Canadian media yet. Like, what is going on here?
I remember you telling me about that.
And so it was ridiculous, and they had it. They just you could just tell they were overwhelmed, and just it was a situation where they'd never been there before. I get that, but you would have thought that somehow they would have been able to manage it a little better. The thing with the picture on the field was hilarious. Like, FIFA they were ready to fine the Canadians because they were just not ready.
Did we have money for fines?
Yeah, we probably don't.
What would you like us to pay with?
Exactly.
And people are rooting through their
Pretty much.
Like,
Okay.
Here was maybe this was an indicator in retrospect now to everything you've alluded to, Dave, that you brought up. Remember when they announced and unveiled all the World Cup kits?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Canada didn't have a new one?
Yeah.
And it was a red T-shirt and a white T-shirt with the Canada soccer logo. I'm like, why didn't we get a sweet new kit for the World Cup?
That's another situation with Canada soccer dropping the ball. Like, it was a situation. Nike went to everyone and said, okay, we need so and so much money to design a new uniform for you guys.
Yeah.
They went, and then all these federations said, okay, here's the check. Design a uniform for us. And Canada said, well, let's just wait and see until we know if we're going to qualify or not. And then by the time they realized, we are going to qualify, Nike said, well, it's too late. We can't design something for you.
Those things have to be done like a half a year in advance to a year, even longer, as you guys know.
At the World Cup without the new uniform, and the players were mad,
as they should be.
Like, this is a once in a lifetime thing, and this is the thing. Like, if your team qualifies for the World Cup, you get a brand new uniform. You market the World Cup uniform, and you do it.
I was already thinking about which player I was going to get for that one.
Not only that, is that you couldn't find a Canada soccer jersey to save your life leading into the tournament.
He is like very thorough,
Yeah.
as
Yes.
we know,
Yeah.
and even
Well, I
Maddie,
got-
you got
I
one, but you were struggling to find
I
it, right?
bought before the Gold Cup.
Right.
When they advanced to the third round of qualifying, I was like, screw it. I'm getting, and I got a couple jerseys. By the time they got through the Gold Cup, then the buzz was starting to pick up, and then the World Cup qualifying came, and then there was nothing.
Yeah,
like
that's
I
right.
bought them when there was like no one was interested in them.
Wasn't
and that was
Eric
the thing. Like
looking
it was
for one?
good
'Cause
Eric, a lot of people were then
was a
looking.
big
I wanted
thing at
a
our
scarf
station.
in the lead up to the
there
to the
was
qualifier,
no-
and I couldn't find a scarf anywhere. And I had to go to. And when I was at the game, like I bought like 10 scarves for various people because
Yeah.
we all wanted the scarves, but you couldn't buy it ahead of time.
But there be people watching our conversation, listening to it, and saying, "Well, does this really matter? It's all about the game." Yeah, the players and all of that is the central piece of all of this. But all these other things tell your audiences, plural, we're serious about this. We are a fully grown, evolved organization.
Yeah,
you know,
point.
and you're competing again. Like I was so, like a lot of people, so confident that soccer was going to finally take a toehold in this country, as not an afterthought, not something that we'll get to it if the Leafs aren't playing. that we will take it and really embrace it. And we've got great players. We're going to continue to produce great players. But when you hear those stories, I go, okay, I guess you don't know what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah, no, it was really eye opening, and it's eye opening to see. It's funny because you can see the good organizations that know what they're doing, and to me, I was blown away by how organized the Brazilians were. Now,
They kind of know what they're doing.
oh my God, like when it comes to media, you know why all those media guys love their Brazilian, like, the Brazilians, and this was one. I remember this one player, and so you have a mixed zone. We've all been in a mixed zone.
Yeah.
Where players walk by and you can say, hey, can you stop for us? And some say no, some say yes. So the Brazilians, everyone wants to talk to the Brazilians, and there's like 100 Brazilian reporters. So you don't want to scrum with 100 Brazilian reporters. So they take the reporters and they from different regions and they say, you guys stand here, 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 you guys stand here. And the player did 6 different scrums. Same player, Casemiro.
Hell yeah, man.
6 different
That's awesome.
scrums to 6 different, and I'm like,
That's customer service, man.
that
Yeah.
is and then not all the other players did. Neymar did. These guys did. And I'm thinking to myself, try and get Connor McDavid to do 6 different scrums. Try and get any player in Canada to do 6 different scrums for 6.
They
different
could only
organizations.
hope.
Oh,
They
my
could only
goodness.
hope that they would have that kind
And
of
they were
interest.
all about 5-6 minutes each. They weren't short.
This will never happen again on the Hangout, where I will take a story, somehow I always do, make it about me, and make it about the CFL. Grey Cup. Oh, what was the big one in
02?
Toronto? No, the big one in Toronto
2012?
with Winnipeg,
100?
was that the 100th where Dinwiddie played
No,
for the Bombers?
07 when the
07.
Riders beat the Bombers.
Okay, so we're talking. I mean, back then, there was media.
Yeah.
And it's in Toronto at Skydome, and it was big, like all the, and I say all the networks, they were all there. Huge opening media day, and big by CFL terms, right? I mean, it was a big turnout, and
We had 3 national networks on TV at that time for sports. With the
yes,
score.
and then you had all the locals, and
Yeah.
you had CBC doing their news, CBC News World Live, and so there was it was big time. And they assigned me, I wasn't there with the Eskimos, but I was working for the league, and they said, okay, you take the Winnipeg head coach. Doug Barry, noted fun guy. So the first practice breaks down, and I'm like, I got to make a beeline over to this guy. And I'd heard he was a bit of a dick. And so I arrived, Coach Barry, hi, I'm Dave Jamieson. We've met, I'm with the Eskimos, but I'm working for you guys. And he looks at me and he goes, the hell are all these reporters doing here? And I said, well, this is opening day of Grey Cup. Like, this is what we want.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me like, huh? And I'm like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to walk you. You go in and play cards, shower, put on too much Aqua Velva, and play cards in the back. I'll come and get you when we have a press conference. But he looked at me like, the hell is this? Like,
Why are these people covering this game?
one of the classic, God, do we need these fans here? Can't we just play these goddamn games?
Some football coaches.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Is it? I know you're not as connected to Canada soccer. Maybe as you don't follow it fully. You're now NHL.com. Is it a problem we don't have a men's national team coach right now?
No.
Also, fix your mic again.
Sorry, is my mic
Too far. It's too far. Yeah.
Here we go.
we
No,
could
because
raise
I
it a
think
little bit.
you need to find the right guy. You just got to get into this Copa America though. You have to win that game against Venezuela.
Yeah,
you have to
March
get into the Copa
25th
America.
or something like that.
Yeah, you have to get in there.
Because it's opening match against Argentina
Yeah, and then they play Chile.
and Peru.
Are you torn?
Well, when I get there, we'll figure it out. But let's get there first.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see how
I'm with
torn
you.
you are.
We'll see how torn I am then.
Yeah,
Right?
game time decision.
Yeah, it'll be game time decision. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's get to that game first. But yeah, I think right now, no, because there's not a lot of, they get that one game coming up, and then you're looking at that tournament. So
Yeah.
They do want to do their due diligence and see who's out there and see who they can afford. That's the big thing. Who can they afford to coach this team? And so that's going to be the situation with that. But I'm not. The people running Soccer Canada, they're good people. Let's just say they're good people. They're underfunded and overwhelmed, and they're doing 6 or 7 different. Which I know what it's like to have to do. Hey, this guy left. Can you just do his job too? This guy left. Can you do his job too?
That's
We've
not a
all
good
been in
recipe.
that situation, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, so and so is gone. Can you do this job? And so when you're good at your job, you get to do everyone else's job as well. So I think that's one of the situations with Canada Soccer.
It's
how you
such a
build a
big
winner.
hire for them because it's the manager for 2026 as well.
Yeah,
and
right.
it's not just a World Cup; it's the home World Cup.
Were we good? No.
I think here, let me.
Well,
let me lift it up a little bit.
You can fix
You know what?
it.
You know what the Hangout needs is a roadie.
Yeah, we do. Need
Right.
You know, like a roadie who
Coming
just
in
kind of
here.
who just sort of bursts in.
Yeah.
Like
go. How
when
we
the
doing
guitar
there?
comes unplugged.
Yeah. Yes.
And just goes and you take one Stratocaster off and toss another one on and go
There you go.
Yeah,
We're
go.
good.
That's
Play.
gonna be
Should
good
be
now.
better.
Play
That
soul.
should be good. So anyway, so that's my take on Canada Soccer. But yeah, it was a year ago. I was in Qatar, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Christmas when I get home, so I better swing by the FIFA store and see what's left." And then I did get requests when I was there. Hey, can you bring
Oh,
me a
yeah.
t-shirt?
If you're there.
Hey, you're there. Can you bring me this back?
Yeah.
Which I try to accommodate everyone as much.
Can I get a Messi autograph?
Pretty much.
That's
Sure.
no problem.
Yeah.
Can you FaceTime Messi with me?
Question comes in via the Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. This is for JMO.
Oh, no.
Comes in from Ryan from Sask. Question for JMO. Why doesn't the CFL expand their networks from TSN? Is it lack of interest from others? The NFL has multiple networks. Wouldn't multiple network coverage benefit the league?
Yes, it would. Ryan from
Sask.
Sask. It would benefit the league if it were, and again, we get to a 10th team. They used to run TSN and CBC.
Yeah.
And I thought it worked pretty well. It was always funny because CBC would start Labor Day.
Yeah.
So you get the run up, and those were always great conversations. Mark Conley, tremendous broadcaster, great guy, but he would phone a couple of weeks ahead, and he goes, "Hey, look, I got to be honest, I haven't really been following. So where are you guys at?" I go, "Well, Ricky Ray's the quarterback, and we've done this, this, and this." And then he's like, "Okay, great. We'll see you Labor Day." And they were great to deal with. I don't know I don't know the financial underpinnings of what sports broadcasting is right now in the country. TSN writes a big check, which is gratefully accepted.
50 million.
I don't know if there's enough of a pie to chip off some other pieces. Would it be great if there were some games on Sportsnet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Or maybe now in this day and age, who's streaming?
Yeah.
Is there? I don't know what that looks like, but yes, yeah.
Did YouTube try? They've done
do any-
MLB.
Well,
But-
MLB's on Apple TV now.
Right,
Yeah,
that's right.
Apple
So,
TV
and
and
MLS is on
MLS is on
Apple
Apple.
But
The
I-
Zone does some stuff, but I don't
DAZN
think they
does football.
actually do their own broadcast. I think they
No,
only
they
take
just take
others.
others.
Got it.
Amazon in the
stream them.
States does broadcasts.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I have to cancel my MLS deal because MSC's not playing anymore.
Okay.
They did an MLS deal with Apple when Messi showed up in
But
Miami.
you're just stopping it for this winter.
$50 for the rest of the season, and then
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So, but then Messi got hurt 4 games in, and that was it for 4 or
Yikes.
5 games.
They were a
I think-
glorious
I
few
think he got
games.
hurt. Yeah, with the national team. So Miami FC wasn't too happy about that.
Well, but then he came on and he played. I think it was Atlanta.
Who's that?
and he got hurt like in the first like 20 minutes because I remember it was on TSN for whatever reason that game.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and you just saw the crowd just start leaving.
I started.
No.
yeah.
Oh, in like the 30th minute and stuff, people are just walking away because
Messi-
they
Messi,
paid to come see Messi. Messi
Yeah.
got hurt, so they're like, we're done.
We're done.
We're not watching this.
When-
But like with the CFL, I think the big thing to watch, because I agree, like I wish at least the Grey Cup was on CTV at least.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish
good
it was split, but the question will be when the CFL eventually expands, and I should do if they expand
If.
to the 10th team, you're adding an
Flashing
extra
lights.
game a week.
Yeah.
And that's a lot for one broadcast to do 5 games a week then.
For one, yeah.
You're going to need another partner to take some of those games, and it's who steps up. Is it CBC? Is it Sportsnet? Is it a streaming service? That's going to be the interesting thing for the CFL. But right now, why is the CFL is going to be happy to take the 50 mil from TSN because it pays for
as it should
everyone's
be.
salary cap.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pays for all the salaries of all the players. Boom, teams don't have to pay for that.
You know, I read a lot of criticism, or some criticism of how TSN produces, and I think, like, I thought this Grey Cup this year was perhaps their best bit of television around the Grey
was
Cup.
good.
I thought it looked spectacular, right? With the cameras, the drone stuff. Of course, the halftime was great. You know, there was a lot to recommend this year's telecast. But that can't happen for a Thursday nighter between Ottawa
Yeah.
and Edmonton. You know, so we're so used to, by what we see in the National Football League, that becomes our expectation. And the reality is they can't deliver that every week for every single game. It'd be nice, but it's not realistic.
Yeah. No, for sure. And the Grey Cup was awesome. Like
It
was
so good.
God,
the
it
game
looked
was
good.
good. The production was good.
Yeah.
The fact that they got Green Day was good. I can't believe people when they lined up Green Day said, "Well, this isn't gonna work." I'm like, "Have you? What are you kidding me? Like this is a huge band."
Excuse me.
Then they were unbelievable. It might have been one of the best
Well,
halftime shows I've seen.
And we get so caught up in they better be Canadian. Again, let's come back to we are a vast land with not many people in it, and we've got a lot of brilliant artists. But are they? I mean, I'm just going to pull a name. He's a fantastic artist. Do you throw Joel Plaskett up as your halftime show? No,
point.
I'd go see him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, so you need someone big to, and you know, you're bringing in those Green Day fans who don't care about the CFL.
Yeah, no, you are, and I thought it was a fantastic
Yeah.
halftime show, and the game was lived up to its bill. And everything
Yeah.
about the Grey Cup was fantastic.
Good party sounded like in Hamilton as well.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, they're always great parties. You know, we have them here. They're always awesome parties. So.
Vancouver's going to be great next
It
year.
is gonna be awesome. We're going, right? That's the plan.
Plan on it. We'll
Oh
be there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
you
yeah.
should be.
We
You should
go.
be there.
JMO, you're
You
coming.
you should be there. Yes,
You're
I
our
can
VIP
tour.
pass.
Yes,
We're
I
just
can
gonna-
tour
yeah.
guide you through my
Yeah.
my hometown.
We're just gonna be putting you in front of the door at
Yes.
every bar.
Yeah.
We're with JMO.
Yeah,
We're with
we're
JMO.
JMO.
Oh, come right in.
I
Come
think
right in.
probably even just a picture of you. Hey, we're with this guy. Oh yeah,
We'll just take a selfie with him and be like, see,
Yes.
we know him. We know this
That's my
guy.
friend.
We know this guy.
Another text comes in, and DVD. I'm assuming it's more so for you, but no name on the text. I'm just jumping in, but how much of this falls on Soccer Canada and how much on Canadian soccer business or whatever it's called? Do we know how the responsibilities were chopped? And then this texter stacks up after your Joel Plaskett comment says, "You only call in Plaskett in an emergency, yo."
That's
Break
smart.
glass in case of
No,
emergency.
this was a backroom deal done with the owners of the Canadian Premier League that trying to get it off the ground, and I think they do need a league to get off the ground to develop some of this young talent because they don't have anywhere to go. There's a huge gap between university soccer and professional soccer, and you need something in between, like stepping stones. You need those stepping stones. But the deal they brokered really gutted the national team, and
It's horrendous.
It's a horrendous deal. And it's a horrendous TV deal because now there was all this interest in the national team wanting to watch these qualifying
Yeah.
matches. And you had to get on a streaming service or whatever.
That no one has heard of.
Yeah, few people have heard of. Yeah.
You'd have to know about it. Like, you have
Right.
to be a soccer person to know about one soccer.
Yeah.
You'd have to be a soccer. And there's some good people doing good work there. It just doesn't have the reach that
Right.
a TSN or Sportsnet or
CBC.
CBC would have.
Yeah.
And that's where and that's how you build your fan base. And so that was, like I said, this goes back to the planning of the whole thing. And I do think that a lot of it starts with they weren't convinced that the team was good enough to qualify for Qatar. They weren't convinced. They said, we will be good, but we're not sure if we're going to be that good to qualify. Because you go from not even coming close to suddenly winning the group. Like that's a big jump that they did in 4 years. Like that's a big step that they took with John Herdman.
Were you convinced? Because I wasn't convinced until the Gold Cup. When I saw them go up against Mexico and almost beat Mexico, that was the first time I went, oh my God, we might actually qualify for this World Cup. Every other time, I just was wanting to be at the big boys table with CONCACAF.
Yeah, I just wanted to
see what they can do. If we qualify, we qualify. We don't. But it was probably not till the Gold Cup for me that I was like, we're qualifying.
Yeah, I can't remember that moment where I thought, okay, well, this team is actually pretty good, and they have a lot of good players. Because I followed it from very beginning when they played. They had to go through those little
Aruba.
Caribbean nations and Aruba and stuff like that. So I was there from day one. There's a couple of us that were from day one with John Herdman. There was on the Zoom call. It's two people. So yeah. Hey, how was your 9-0 win over Aruba? Tell us how.
Lovely.
Something like that.
I think was it Bermuda? They beat 13-0 or
just
something. There
pounded
was
on
one
some
team they
teams.
just crushed.
But I think as it got going, it might have been the Gold Cup for me where I went, this team might have a chance. They might have a chance, and then they did really well against the Americans in the U.S. and Mexico, and they almost won in Mexico. So yeah, and then it started building, but I just don't think the infrastructure where it came to the management from top down, starting with the president, and I met the president, and I'm like, someone gave you the keys to this? Like,
Oh, that's
Wow.
the Nick Bontis?
Hey,
Yeah.
even when you see him like in his press conferences, I'm just like, not
Men in
getting a
blue
good
blazers.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Men in blue blazers, beware.
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 I was like, okay, seems like a nice enough guy, but I don't know if I'd, get you to run my ice cream stand, to be honest.
A few years into this thing where we have a nice nucleus and a team that actually is competitive, has qualified for a World Cup, now has a few games of World Cup experience, and has built up hype. It's so disappointing, and I'm sad to say this, but unsurprising that, like Dave said, when this country it's more than a toehold in our country, and these guys are building, everything underneath it, the ground underneath it is just like eroding away because of the lack of infrastructure and lack of foresight and awareness. It's so disappointing. This should be the new golden age of Canadian soccer, and we're on our way to our second consecutive World Cup appearance. I know it's by hosting and by default, but regardless, like now we should have an organization that is not overwhelmed by this stuff and is somewhat seasoned, and it seems like it's going the other way.
Wow,
And it's ironic, disappointing, not a surprise, sad. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, damn it.
Well, I think part of the problem is, and we have so many different soccer organizations in this country that they're all pulling in different directions, and everyone's pulling in different directions, and everyone's trying to get what they can out of the game, we're going to make money this way, we're going to make money this way, and it's not. They don't see the big picture. Like everyone's just trying to get their nickel
piece.
and dime out of it, piece out of here. I'm going to start my academy here, and then you're going to start your academy here, and then it's a sense that people are just the wrong people are in charge, not just at the national level, but I think at the provincial level and at the municipal levels. All it is just infighting with each other, trying to figure things out. And you have the whole, well, we used to do it this way back in the old country.
Oh, God.
And then,
Here we go.
we've done it this way for 25 years. Why would you, and you get that, and it's tough to, we've all been there when someone says, well, we've always done it this way. Why do we want
ingrained.
to change? Because life changes and you need to evolve.
Yeah.
Right? And I come from an industry that refused to change and is now dying because the newspaper industry did not want to change when the internet showed up. Well, we've been doing this for 600 years. This newspaper business is doing this way, typesetting and whatever. Why should we change now? This internet's not going to do anything for us. Yeah, well, look where we are, right?
Sears had the chance to be Amazon,
we're the
and they chose not
Blockbuster.
to.
Hey, good point.
Right? We just like Blockbuster.
Blockbuster could have been Netflix. They chose not to do it that way.
No, we don't. We it's like
We'll
when
do
you
it our
don't
way.
see that. You don't see that. Then you're gonna die, and that's what's happening in newspapers. Right?
When you brought up the old country thing, I got flashbacks to shady Italian dudes running soccer teams and organizations
Italian
when I grew
guys,
up.
English guys, Polish guys, they're all pulling in the different directions. South American guys, everyone's pulling in different directions.
Let's not let that pass. What Tom just said, shady Italian guys.
They're my paisans. You see them at the church.
Do we need shady in there?
Wait, somebody need a fence built?
The qualifier. Yeah.
We're Italian. We're allowed to say that.
That's
so don't
right.
get upset. This is the
fence
EST
built.
Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar. Tom Gazzola, Dave Jamieson, Derek Van Diest, Matt Iwanyk with you here. Don Ellis in the nasty chat saying, so Team Canada West versus Team Canada East in the WJAC. WJAC, congrats to many of our local AJHL players on gold. Also, question for Dave, which I don't think we've asked you this, DVD. Keep the Rouge or get rid of the Rouge in the CFL? Just quick question.
Out.
You, Belzy, Don Ellis, and Tom Gazzola, you're the only ones.
No, it's out.
Out. Punt it.
You know why I like it, and I don't get too worked up about it, because
Sounds
I
like a
want
keep.
my CFL weird.
Like,
I do.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
don't
way.
want.
Yes.
I don't want homogenized anything except milk. So I'm quite comfortable with the CFL being just a little off.
Yeah.
And if you believe, and some do, that the Rouge is, oh God, there they are with that weird thing, why don't they just learn up in Canada to do football properly? Like, I've been there, stood on the field for that early, it happens a couple of days, I think, before the first preseason game. All the rookies, come on, gather in. We're going to explain the Rouge. And I've stood there behind the coaches and looked at their faces, and they're walking through, and then somebody boots the ball, and there's a kick returner in the end zone, and he's like, now what do I do? Well, boot it back. You know, like, you get into all this weird stuff, right? But it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it produces weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like Odell Willis on kickoffs. Remember when he would do kickoffs sometimes?
Yes.
No, I don't actually. Why don't I remember that?
Yeah.
Well,
Like
it's
he
funny
did the
'cause
returns?
No, he kicked the
It
ball.
would boot it.
Oh, jeez.
I don't remember that, but it's because the last play of the CFL, everyone up north or down south was like, "What the hell was that? Why are they kicking the ball? Like, wait."
That's what I love. That stuff. It's just like, oh
was
God,
pretty funny.
And you know, football experts are. And listen, there's you can love both leagues, and I certainly do. But
Same.
you're going. I still don't understand it. I know it's written down here, but what is going on? And it just produces some mayhem. I like that.
Yeah, well, I just don't. The idea of, well, you tried, we'll give you a point for trying.
Yeah, that's what I
sounds
hate.
very like, hey, here's a medal for participating, right?
You got a
and
medal.
we all can agree that our generation has screwed up the next generation.
Totally.
Because
Don't
we
say
started
our generation.
Our generation. It's our.
Oh, not mine.
Oh yeah, ours. Well,
Not mine.
Look at everybody.
I'm too
like,
young.
hey, it's not on me.
wait,
It's
whoa,
not on
wait,
me.
My
wait,
generation
wait.
hasn't had time to produce
You
and
don't-
develop kids.
Well, your generation's not having kids.
They're just starting to.
And they're coddling
I'm
them.
32.
Yeah,
I'm 32. They're like all the
Okay,
kids that we've created are like
My
5 or under.
generation, We screwed it up. I say this as someone that doesn't have kids, so I tell everyone else how to raise theirs. My sister would
As one
attest
does.
to that. Right? Is that when we started giving out medals for participation, when we started taking dodgeball out of schools because
They don't do
for the-
dodgeball in schools?
No, they haven't.
No,
they're
no,
bringing it back.
no.
Dodgeball has been out of schools for like 20 years.
Come on.
because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you can't make
That was
a
the
kid
best
feel,
game.
You can't make a kid feel bad.
Oh, jeez.
You know what brought dodgeball back is that
Movie.
the Goldberg show. Because they used to play dodgeball on the Goldberg show, and kids were demanding, "Hey,
Really?
I want to play dodgeball too."
That's a good
they
show.
Banned
That's so much fun.
dodgeball because
I
it's
didn't
too
know that.
exclusive. So everyone gets a medal for participating. Doesn't matter if you come in first. Doesn't matter if you come in second. And that has
Yeah, it does.
ruined the generation.
Can
of
I
kids.
thank you for something on that? Not blaming the kids for it.
It's not the kids'
Well,
fault.
that everyone always like it with millennials because I'm of the generation more where people say my generation got the participation ribbons, and it's just like it's your fault. You participation ribbon era, and it's like, well, it's not our fault. You gave it to us.
It's not their fault.
Like, yeah, we whined maybe for something, but you didn't have to give in to us. And thank you for not putting it on us.
it's not. It's
I
on-
appreciate
you know,
that.
I blame my generation for screwing up the kids.
yeah.
Well, look,
Right?
I'm of the age. I'm the oldest person in the room, and I can tell you that growing up, I'm from the time when, parents were like, "Hey, kid, don't worry about the kid's name. Just get me a beer, and if you're out riding around on your bike, can you bring me a pack of smokes? And if you're good, maybe I'll give you a sip of my beer, and you go to the playground. This is adult time. Go get lost.
Yeah.
Get out of here."
Yeah.
You know, so hey, if you want to go way back, it's my generation and earlier.
Well,
that really got it rolling.
I like
We're-
that
we're-
sip of beer.
I think
Yeah.
our generation, like my generation, I think
Yeah.
older than you guys, was the first generation where both parents started to work, and you'd come home. We were the latchkey kids, right?
Right.
We got home from school at 3, and we
yes.
had to entertain ourselves from 3 to 5 till our parents got home at 5 or whatever. And then it was so. I think my generation was the first generation.
Yeah.
With both parents. But now it's I don't know. Like I said, I tell my sister how to raise her kids, and she doesn't like it, and I get it. They're not my kids; they're your kids, but right. Like Emerson,
Yeah.
if I was up to Emerson would not get a participation medal. No participation ribbon. No participation trophies, by the way, that they're giving out.
Bob
DVD is a
Stauffer
big
used-
fan. DVD, I'm learning this. DVD is a big fan of profound disappointment. You believe that seeing a child weeping is a good thing, and I like
You
a
learn
DVD.
from that. That's how you
Yes,
learn.
you do.
You
Yeah.
learn more from your disappointments than you do from your successes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right? And there's more, and I tell you, when I used to coach, I used to say this all the time. Michael Jordan is the biggest loser around. He won 6 championships, but played 25 years. So that means he didn't win those 19 other years. That's how you kind of look at things. And success is only good if you've understood disappointment.
You can't to succeed if you don't fail
Yeah.
in certain ways.
Right?
And so you need
That's what
those.
makes success.
Learn how to
so good.
appreciate it, too.
You appreciate it.
You go to school, like the fact that you can't get zeros in schools nowadays, and you
can't
could,
get-
you could hand in an
Can't get
assignment.
shut out?
No, and you can hand in an assignment whenever you want, and they can't give you late marks necessarily
Can't fail
nowadays.
kids anymore.
Because they
Yeah.
want to make sure that you have time to do it and it's just like, well, if the teacher says you got 2 weeks to this assignment, you don't do it in 2 weeks, then yeah, you deserve late marks or a 0.
Yeah.
But they don't do that anymore.
Well,
and so when that generation keeps growing up and they're going to get to college, colleges don't care.
Yeah.
You get to universities, they'll give you zeros. They'll
Yeah.
kick you out of schools. And they're not being prepared necessarily that way because in schools, like if you just take it beyond sports, you can't fail a kid because you can't have them feel bad.
Well, there was an issue with a teacher. I don't know where the teacher, but he was given a failing grades, and then they said you can't fail kids. Why can't you fail kids? And it was a big.
That was
issue.
local, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
that's
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
It's a public school system, I
Right.
think, and it was a big
'Cause
fight.
It was a big fight because they can't. Oh, you can't fail these kids. It was like, well, they're not doing the job. So anyway,
I
like,
pulled some shutouts. I got some shutouts.
same here.
Yeah, in high school, I think early. Yeah, I think I can recall a couple of whoa, that test didn't go well.
Yeah, yeah.
I tried to do like the smart math. I think my first year of high school or last year of junior high, and on this test, which I studied for, I cracked. I think I got 11%.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, not good at math. Better go down to the regular dummy
Sure.
math. Yeah.
Well, actually, I did that too. I remember when I was in high school, I was in Math 31, and it was just a little too advanced for me. I wasn't prepared for
Yeah.
it, right? So I said, so
I think
when
that's
I
what
talked
I
to my
did.
counselor, said, okay, we're going to drop you down to the Math 30, and that'll help you. Yeah, okay, I'll take the Math 30. I get down there. My first day in Math 30, we're doing a test, and the prof says, well, I know you haven't been here all year, and you have no idea what's going on, but take the test anyway. Like, why would I take the test? I don't know any of this stuff. Don't worry about it. I get a 7% on the test. And not only that, the teacher posts the marks on the classroom door. And they're like, DVD got 7%? But how come? I was like, and I had to explain to everybody what happened. I walked in the classroom.
I'm not that dumb, I'm not
They gave me
stupid.
a test, and I didn't know what the hell they were doing.
I never had a
And
chance.
I'm like, and I remember this teacher going, if you were going to post the marks on the board, like, why would you make me take a test of something I hadn't even opened a book for?
That's a bit harsh.
That was like,
That's
I was
why
not impressed.
that's at the very least make him take the test, but then
That's like-
leave it on the side.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like you see that test, you go, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah, he's
he
not
didn't.
ready.
This wasn't good.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't know what
whoop,
he
that
did.
one's in the recycle. Everyone else gets
Everyone else
posted.
Yeah.
posted.
You know?
It was
That's like the Mike Keenan of math teachers.
It was awful.
yeah,
how dare you, yeah.
I'm the quarterback of the football team
like,
too, and then
how you
that
gotta
didn't
go?
help. It's like,
Sure.
well, that doesn't help the stereotype of the quarterback of the football team. Gets 7% on a math
Imagine
test.
this clown calling plays. Just run. Okay, thanks, DVD.
Yeah.
Where am I running?
Oh my God, it was like, yeah, some complex algebra thing.
Yeah.
to the 47-yard
Yeah.
line.
Quinn
I don't
Phillip
know where
left.
that is. Yeah.
Quinn Phillips says in the nasty chat that teacher was at Ross Shep, her old stomping
There you
grounds.
go.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
was,
So
yeah.
that's where it was.
Oh,
Was
okay.
it- he was
Just down the road, then I
yeah.
guess that would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
from here. So
Yeah, but anyway, it's a different. Like I said, we talk about it. Okay, we don't have kids, so I don't know how I'd raise mine, but I'm pretty sure I would not give them a participation trophy that they're getting now.
That's a bit much.
Yukon Jack always got into it with Bob Stauffer because this before Uke had kids.
Yeah.
Uke would do things on radio or something talking about kids and raising them or something, and Bob would get mad. I'm like, you don't have any kids, you can't speak. And you could always go to him and be like, how many games in the NHL you play, Bob? How many games did you play in the NHL, Bob? Why are you talking about that? And Bob never had a retort for that one. So
Bob was salty the other night.
Oh no, why?
you sound there's such an unauthentic intrigue there.
No way. Was it about the play of the team, or is it something else? No, I know Bob well.
You're
We
great
talked
friends
last
with
week.
Bob.
You're
Yes.
salty.
I
Yeah.
just love that response. Why was Bob salty?
I actually went. I don't.
Or was it because the team wasn't playing?
Well,
well?
the team was
Oh,
losing.
well,
Yeah,
okay.
obviously. Jay, that was brilliant, JMO. But I went to go talk to Jack because he was doing the radio broadcast, and then say hi to Bob. And I mentioned Bob brought something up, and I asked him a question. He's like, "Well, why don't you look into it with your sources?" And I was like, "Okay, well, I can, I guess, no problem." But I was just trying to include you in the conversation. But if you're gonna be a dick, see you later. And I looked at Jack after. I'm like, "Is he salty?" Jack's like, "Oh yeah." All day. I'm like, I don't need this.
Whenever I go talk to Mooner at those things, Bob always gives me the side eye as I'm talking to Mooner.
He's probably jealous that you're not talking to him.
I go just to talk to Mooner.
You know, I worked with Matthew 12 years ago.
I love Cal Moon.
I know at some point we may get to the Oilers, but
will.
what I've
Sure.
taken to saying to people when they get really angry about the Oilers, and I get it, the last couple of performances, but following hard on the heels of them being excellent for a number of games, and then of course we know the season started, is when they get furious, and God knows people get furious with them. I want you to just remember this. The other guys are trying to.
They're trying to win as well.
So the guys not dressed as Oilers, they also give a shit, and they're the best in the world too.
yeah.
It's not excellence is not the exclusive domain of Connor McDavid.
No. Yep.
The other guys are really good at what they do too, and sometimes Oilers get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
The other team's trying to get to 2 points too.
Right.
Not going, how can we help you, the Edmonton Oilers,
Right.
achieve these
So
2
just-
points tonight?
I know it doesn't help if you're, you played your same day parlay or whatever it is you did and you lost money or whatever it is, but just there's sometimes some perspective needed.
It took 53 minutes, but this one from Bones says, is it really a Dave Jamieson appearance on the Hangout if he hasn't sworn yet?
Oh, no, come on.
Nailed it.
Well, you're right.
Nailed
Sorry,
it.
I just
Have
get
you
caught
sworn?
up in this whole.
just did.
Well, with I don't know.
Yeah, but
I
it
guess
wasn't,
I don't
wasn't
really.
bad.
Like, it wasn't
I don't
a bad
go,
one.
I don't
It
go
was
the bad
good.
one. I,
Shame, that was a
that
good
one.
one.
It's fine.
I
You
like
still
that
know
one.
Guy Flaming was the first to say the F word.
Oh, no.
Of all the people on EST, Guy was the first one to drop
Laying
the F bomb.
pipe.
Yeah. That's,
Laying pipe and dropping Fs.
That's what he does.
That's what Guy does.
Pipeline Show tonight
Yeah.
at 8 o'clock right here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. This is the EST Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar, Matt Iwanyk, Derek Van Diest from NHL.com, Dave Jamieson, Tom Gazzola here. Let's get into movers and shakers brought to you by Marco and Mike Realty, Realty One Group Insider. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, give Marco and Mike the chance to do it for you. MarcoandMike.com for more information on the dynamic duo. Let's just get to the Edmonton Oilers and stuff. That they get the nice big 8-game winning streak. Everything's going well. Now drop 2, head out to New York, which isn't going to be an easy 3 games. This, you got 2 teams sitting in a playoff spot. One team that's just kind of outside. Should there be concern again with Oilers?
Well, I think the concern, it was highlighted in these 2 losses when you're playing against a team that has an all-world goalie, and yours is not an all-world goalie. And you see the difference an all-world goalie can make for your hockey team.
Yeah.
Like that game against Tampa shouldn't have even been close.
No.
It should have been a blowout.
Yep.
Vasilevsky played unbelievable. But that's what you have when you have a goal like that. And then you look at the game the other night. The shots were relatively close. The Oilers got 37 shots on that. But they were out. How many times is this team going to get goalied? And I brought it up with Connor McDavid too. It's like, you guys are getting a lot of shots, but you have to bear down in front of the net. Like, you guys are getting, goalied a lot this season. Goalies are standing on a head, and is that on the goalie or is that on you guys? Have to be a little better at finishing.
I'll give them credit for these last 2, the Oilers credit, because Vasilevsky, like you said, all-world. Bobrovsky, when he feels like playing, is all-world.
Yeah.
He showed up in the playoffs last year, and he's been pretty damn good since. But, if you're going Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, and then Casey DeSmith in the second game of the year, and you're saying, I got goalied, I'm going, one of these things is not I think they were just playing like crap early in the season, which we saw, and it was quite evident. Vasilevsky stole that game, and it should have been a 9-game winning streak. Yep. But Vasilevsky happened, Stuart Skinner caved, and let in a couple softies in the third, and it went Tampa's way. I didn't think the Oilers were particularly great against the Panthers.
No.
But they had their opportunities.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky stopped them, and then they had breakdowns in their own zone that were reminiscent of the first few months of the season.
But this is what I'll say about Tampa, the Tampa game. Usually when a goalie stands on his head and stones you, you get 1, maybe 2 goals. They scored 3 goals. 3 goals should be enough
4.
to win.
Yeah.
Right? Well, they got the 4th at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When they were chasing the game. But at that point, that should be enough to win. Especially when they're not getting anything on your end.
And given the way they've been playing defense as a team, like during that run there, the Oilers looked cohesive.
Yeah.
And I don't have the depth of hockey knowledge. I mean, I can watch it and I can sort of understand, largely what's happened or happening. But when they were in that run, I thought as I'm watching each game play out, I could see systems that were sustainable and repeatable. And that's what the good teams, the great teams, I think have, is that they are able to, on most nights, replicate the things that made them successful. They don't lose they're going to lose games.
Yeah.
But they don't lose their sense of how they go about what they do. And the Oilers still, I guess we saw in the last couple of games, are a bit fragile.
A little bit. And I think there's this to me is the reason the Oilers got the turnaround. There's a couple of reasons. One, Connor McDavid's healthy.
Yeah.
If Connor McDavid's healthy, you just add 2 goals to your scoreline. He's gonna set up 2 goals, or he's gonna have an effect where your team's gonna score 2 more goals. 2, Matthias Ekholm got back to, he missed the whole training camp.
Fair.
Right? And he got back to where they expected him to be. And he kind of raises the level of play of all the defense. So now they're all playing where they're supposed to be playing. And he's helped out Evan Bouchard a ton, because Bouchard still gets lost in his own end.
Nurse has been better too, hey?
Nurse has been better because he doesn't have to carry as much water as they did before.
Right.
So everyone's kind of at their level, but Bouchard's a great offensive defenseman, but he needs Ekholm there to cover for him. He needs, like Charlie Hardy used to say about Paul Coffey. Paul Coffey once told me that I get to work both corners. Like, he had to work both corners. Like, Paul Coffey needed Charlie Hardy.
Yeah.
Right? Or else Paul Coffey would have been exposed as this terrible defensive defenseman, which
he was later when he moved around. Yes, he won elsewhere and won in Pittsburgh and stuff, and as he got older. But, Paul Coffey was not the stout defender as an LA King.
Exactly.
Or a Hartford Whaler or a Detroit Red Wing. I mean, his credentials are impeccable, but you're right. I mean, when he's out there alone, or was, a lot of freewheeling.
You're right. He needed Charlie Hardy there.
Yeah.
Just as Bouchard needs Ekholm there.
Sure.
Healthy Ekholm. And I think that to me was the biggest 2 differences. And then everything else falls into place, right? If your defense is better, your goaltending is going to be better.
Yeah.
And it goes out from there. Yeah. But the problem I have is that your goaltending can't lose you games. And that's what happened the other night in Tampa. Mm-hmm. And you're going into playoffs with the same goaltending you had last year that lost you games in the playoffs. And what do they say about insanity? It's repeating the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. And that's what I'm seeing right now. And I know there's urgency here, but it's not working. And I know they got half of it by saying, okay, Jack, sorry, it's not working with you. They got to finish that off. They can't just, they got to bring someone else in.
I know that the drumbeat for Holland to do, or Jeff Jackson, or both, to do something and find a solution, a sustainable solution for a backup for Skinner or whatever, however you want to term it, is there. And it's until it goes away, that problem, that narrative is always going to be out there about this team. They got to get goaltending help. In recent times, quote me or find me, who made a deal in season to get a goaltender of substance that really changed the fortunes? I'm just trying to think. Like, I know someone's going to go, hey, Dave, Dwayne Rolison.
That's almost 20 years ago.
Right. So I'm talking like in today's NHL.
LA tried it last year with Korpisalo.
Yes, that's true.
It did not work.
No.
The Oilers cracked him pretty early in that first round.
It doesn't happen a lot.
No.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. You talk about, everyone wants a number 1 defenseman, but there's maybe 15 to 20 number 1 defensemen in the league.
The term of that always bothers me, but you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
every team has a number 1 defenseman, but there's not 32 true number 1 defensemen.
Yeah.
Can we just say elite?
Yeah.
elite, true
So
number
you're
one. Like
looking
that's
at-
what you have to go
everyone
with.
wants
Yeah.
a really good starting
Yeah.
goaltender, but is there 32 really good starting goaltenders out
No.
there?
No, we're seeing it's
Probably
getting less and
10
less.
to 15, right?
Maddie's right. You're
And
right.
those-
Yeah.
And everyone wants those 10 or 15 guys. And
Well,
so I
like
think-
Canada doesn't even have, like for a starting goalie for Team Canada, if we're looking at, when we're trying to take the best of the best.
Yeah.
It's pretty thin.
Well,
It's
you know,
very
it's
thin. Yeah, you're
expensive
right.
to play goal in Canada. I don't know what it's like in other places.
But that's like if we're talking about a Team Canada World Cup or an Olympics coming up, who's going to play goal?
that's the I
It's
think-
already thin for Team Canada.
Yeah.
That
I
we're
think
talking
that's-
about.
Well, that's part of the problem. Emerson played goal last week, and we were begging him. We got him and his dad, and I was like, "Please get lit up and not like this position. It's just going to cost so much money to play goal. Please
Yeah.
get lit up." And lo and behold, he got lit up. He goes, "I don't like goal." All right, good job, buddy. Right? And you're terrified that your kid's going to like goal because now you're going to spend all that money on equipment. Like it's
But Dusty, I think last week went through like all the 32 teams of trying to go. Like he just tried to rattle them off of his head. Who are their starting goalies and who's a legit starter?
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
no.
And then also, then what team is wanting to trade one of those goalies right now?
Well,
Nashville doesn't.
Nobody does.
The Islanders are not trading Sorokin.
we all thought that the Jets might eventually with Hellebuck, but then he just signed his new
He locks
contract, so
up,
he's
yeah.
now locked in. And look at what the Jets have
And
become.
how long have people been coveting John Gibson?
Yeah.
Out of Anaheim. I mean, it like clockwork.
Yeah.
It was, God, you know, if the Oilers could just get John Gibson, you're like, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
yeah, no. You got a good goalie.
It's all going to be a crapshoot, whoever you bring in.
The 31 other
you
teams
gotta
in the
do
NHL,
something.
they don't want to help the Oilers.
No.
And quite frankly, the sentiment I've gotten traveling around and stuff, they kind of get a kick out of the Oilers struggling, to be honest with you. I mean, you travel around still.
A little. They don't
Yeah.
want to help, and if they're gonna,
Yeah.
if we're gonna help you, we're gonna take a lot from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to pay.
You're gonna pay.
Well, if
you
you're
want
the-
this guy, you're gonna pay.
If you're any of the West teams, you're sitting there going, the Oilers might not make the playoffs, and we don't have to see them in the playoffs. Like that's just automatically a check of
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh.
One less threat potentially to deal with in a playoff time. We could worry about other teams. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what any team would want.
Well, it's almost like to sum it up, it's almost like a sentiment where it's like, oh, that's too bad, Oilers.
Yeah.
Shucks.
Yeah.
And then they giggle at you because they think it's funny.
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
yeah, it is funny, right? How many first overall picks do you need to find it, right? And then, you know, the rest of the team sees that, or the rest of the league sees that. And go,
They just can't find the goalies. They're one of those franchises that struggles to find the
I
goalies.
think
necessarily.
there's something in skin. I mean, the
Long
Golden
term, maybe,
Knights
but-
won with Aiden Hill for crying out loud, and I know him.
Yes.
he's a nice guy. Like he was the fourth stringer going
Yeah.
into the playoffs, and they won with him.
they won with. Well, that defense was.
Something
amazing.
else.
They were
Yeah,
something else.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah.
maybe
Well-
go get another good defenseman.
Well, yeah, perhaps.
But there does come a point where, like, I think we're seeing if this defense is playing a little better with Ekholm and Nurse playing better and Bouchard, especially offensively, playing better, and you're still having back goaltending. Now, I think we're kind of getting the answer, the chicken and egg of this team, which is the issue is more goaltending than the defense. Than it was before. The defense is playing poor, which leads to the goaltending playing poor, which is the problem. I think right now it's more of the goaltending. Maybe the Oilers need to get a goaltender that can goalie someone
goalie,
else.
a defenseman, and a forward.
I
Sorry,
have a question about Darnell Nurse because when we were doing this on TSN, I mean, Nurse was the go-to person to attract the ire of Oiler fans. His name would come up in the inbox more often. You couldn't. I mean, at some point we just had to shut down the conversation about it because
Yeah.
it was pointless. The best nurse is the nurse you don't notice too often. Seems to me.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yes.
Which I know runs counter. I fell in love with him at the World Juniors, like a lot of people did. I went like, God, he is everywhere, and he's nasty, and he skates really well, and there's just a whole bunch to like here. And I still maintain my my joy in watching him play because I like that kind of hockey player. But the best nurse is the nurse that is more controlled and constrained a little bit. Fair. Like
Yeah,
more
I-
effective nurse.
So the guy that tries to stay in his lane. Like I think
Yeah.
when Darnell Nurse tries to do a little too much, he tries to cover for everyone. That's when he gets in trouble. And I like Darnell Nurse a lot as a player, and I think some of the ire that comes from Darnell Nurse is because he's getting paid what he's getting paid.
Oh, of
Yes.
course.
And if he wasn't getting paid what he's getting paid, then I think people would, he's a $6 million defenseman. That's fine. Or
It's like Sean Horkoff.
Yeah, really funny that you bring that up because when he was in the bridge deals, and the bridge deals, listen, they screwed themselves by making those bridge deals, but people were going, this guy needs to get paid.
Yeah.
And then he gets the ticket, and they're like, why are we paying him this much?
And then,
This
yeah.
is ridiculous. Like, well, yeah, you're right, but
Yeah.
you know they should have paid him when you were saying this guy needs to get paid. That's 6.5 to 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I just remember that.
No, I
and was
remember
like,
that as
oh,
well.
yeah.
So I think that's
that's funny.
the issue. Not necessarily what he does on the ice, it's how much money he's making
Yes.
doing that. And I think, I get it. There's a salary cap, and you're trying to put all the puzzle pieces together, but it's not my money. I'm not paying him. You're not paying him. Like,
I have a question for DVD because I saw not a quote from Paul Coffey, but it was related. My understanding, and I hope I've got the context of this right, was that he has told the defenseman Paul Coffey, "You have the latitude to make plays.
Yeah.
Go and make plays." And again, It sounds to me like he was reading from the Glenn Sather handbook on how to relate to people. If you can't or don't want to play this way, we'll find people who will.
Pretty much,
And I
yeah.
thought, God, that's a boss move. Like that's Paul Coffey going, how many rings do I have?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And, in this day and age, I don't know if that carries weight, but I love that if that conversation happened, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, it did. And I'm sure, and I had a good conversation with Paul Coffey the other day too. And he's a no nonsense guy. And this is one of he's like, I'm not gonna, pussyfoot around. I'm gonna tell you how I feel. You don't like it. If that hurts your feelings, too bad for you.
Yeah.
Like that's not my problem. And he's told that defenseman that. Like, if you can't do with this, we'll find someone that can.
Yeah.
So do it. If you can't do it, and I remember him and we chatted about Bouchard, and he goes, well, when you draft a guy 10th overall, you expect him to be a good defenseman. So I expect this guy to be a good defenseman. And
That's Sather. That is absolutely Glenn Sather talking. And I didn't work there, but I met Glenn Sather a number of times, and he's from that generation where guys talk that way.
Yeah, it's that generation. It's like, this. I'm going to give it to you straight. And I think that's one of the things that appealed to Daryl Cates about Paul Coffey, because Paul Coffey says, I'm not going to be a yes man to you. You ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer, not the answer you want to hear.
Well, we got it at the press conference where he says, I don't want to coach. Right? Like, that's just then who he is. That's illustrating everything that you're saying here. He's just going to tell you what he's thinking.
Yeah. He's telling you what he's thinking. And I think he's coming around. He's actually enjoying it now. But the boss move was wearing the Stanley Cup ring in his first game. On the bench.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, see this? I have 5 of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It would have been funny if you wore the Pittsburgh one, though. It's probably a little bit bigger, and it's just like a little, oh, yeah.
The fact that he had them with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Right?
good
Like
point.
that he could go
That he
to
could
it.
go
Maybe
and
he
pick one
travels
up
with one. He goes, okay, if I've got to bring it out and be Paul Coffey,
Yeah.
It's his party trick.
Yeah.
boom.
yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah. That was an awesome move. But I've talked to Paul Coffey, and like I said, he doesn't need the job. He's very, very successful businessman. Started a waste management company with 2 buddies, and they sold it for $1.2 billion with a B dollars.
Yeah, he's got big bucks.
He's got
man.
big bucks. $1.2 billion to a U.S. company out of New York.
Yeah.
I didn't
They
know
start
that
the
one.
waste management. What's 1.2 billion divided by 3 or 4 guys? That's a lot of money.
A lot.
A lot of money.
I quite enjoy talking to Paul Coffey.
Yes.
He's a straight shooter, like you said, but pretty funny guy, too.
Funny
like
guy,
sly,
smart guy,
funny.
and
yeah.
he's like, I'm not here. I don't need the money.
Yeah, I don't give a crap.
Yeah, he doesn't need the money.
I'm
He started
here,
a tech company with the money they got from his waste management company. He's a business guy, so and I think that's the appeal to Daryl Cates, is that for whatever reason he's surrounded himself with a lot of yes men.
Oh,
And
he has.
Yeah, right. A lot of guys. Oh, that's a great idea, Daryl. That's a great idea, Daryl. That's a great idea, Daryl. He needs a guy to say, Daryl, that's not such a great idea. I think you should do this. And it's tough to find genuine people like that. And we know a lot of people in the organization. Everything's a great idea. Sometimes you need someone to say, probably not. And I think Jeff Jackson's that way too. I think Jeff Jackson's a guy that's, you hired me to do a job. I'm going to do it. I had a great conversation with him. He's like, this guy's a bright guy. And he's a very good hire for the Oilers. And he wasn't hired just because he's McDavid's agent. He's actually a really, really good hire, really smart guy. And he's the same way. I'm going to tell how it is, not how they want to be perceived.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar, Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola, Derek Van Diest, Dave Jamieson. That was Movers and Shakers brought to you by Marco and Mike Realty there with Realty One Group Insider. Again, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, check them out, marcoandmike.com for more information. But so then just back to the goaltending there and stuff. Like, at what point does Ken Holland just like, is a move, I guess not goaltending, but defense, any move, is that like the Oilers traditional just because of how tight they are with the cap? We're looking around the deadline for something.
I think the closer we get, the more likely
Well, something will happen
obviously,
probably
but
around the deadline.
when
but
teams start to fall off. You send your scouts out. I know everyone's getting all excited about Columbus, and it's like, yeah, but like you're picking over a dead corpse of mediocre players in Columbus, to be honest with you. Although they have a few guys that you're like, Boone Jenner would be nice, but I don't know how willing the Jackets are to get rid of their captain. Yeah, there's going to be some moves. They, like I said, Matty, I quickly said it. It's like if they add a goalie, a defenseman, and a forward, I know.
How long have you been saying that with this team, though?
It was a forward
Like it seems
and
like
a
every year
defenseman.
it's always adding a forward, defenseman, a goalie, forward, defenseman. It seems like we keep saying the exact same checklist for the exact same number of years.
Because
or
they
for
have
many years.
almost a good roster, almost a roster. You're like, damn, that's all right. And you know what? Last year they did. They did have a roster. You're like, this roster is pretty good. Goaltending side. Don't get me wrong. We were like, maybe Stuart can be the guy, and he's not there yet. It's pretty evident. It's fair to say he needs someone to complement him. But yeah, they lost some pieces, and now they need to bring a guy or two back. And that was something in the offseason talking to the brass. They're like, yeah, we know we need like a depth centerman, and we need at least another defenseman. So now throw in goalie if you can get one.
Yeah. And eventually Connor Brown's got to come around, you think, right?
He's going to be the Mike Pekka, the new Mike Pekka. That's what I've been saying.
Datter's going to be the Tyrani. He's just not going to produce all year.
Well, Tyrati never really had an NHL career, whereas Brown has put together 30 to 40-point seasons
But
fairly
it was
consistently.
coming off major injury.
Yeah.
Well, it takes about a year to get back from that injury. It takes about a year. Like even,
Did he have the hip resurfacing? Is that what he
No,
did?
he
no,
that's
he had a
Pugliarvi.
blown knee.
Right,
I think.
Right.
ACL.
Okay.
ACL
Oh,
surgery.
yeah.
Yeah, it was Gagne had this hip.
Was it
thing.
double hip for Sam?
Double hip for Sam.
Yeah.
He says he feels better than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been walking around with hip problems forever, and now he got that fixed, and he feels great. So, yeah.
Too wild to think.
You know what's funny?
30-year-old and stuff dealing with hip stuff, you know?
Well, that's the thing.
But that's actually talking to Jeff Krishel. That's become a bigger issue for athletes these days, and younger athletes is hip injuries. That's the big concern in the sporting world.
Is that
right
from
now.
overuse?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so many things in today's
well,
sports.
it's
Right?
like you're playing hockey 12 months a year now.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And it's like, go play something else. Even Gretzky would say that. I went to play softball or baseball.
Or lacrosse.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go do something else. Like, and, I'm big on that. The kids shouldn't be playing hockey year round. I know they have the winter hockey, then they have the spring hockey, then the
ridiculous.
summer hockey, and then they go back. It's like
Development
you're gonna
camps
burn
and all
your
that.
kid out. You're gonna burn your kid out. He's gonna get to a point where he's like, I can't even look at a hockey stick anymore. I'm just so sick of this game. So
Stampader texts in, someone please remind me how long Ken Holland has had to find a goalie, a defenseman, and a forward. Well, he added a bunch of
4.5
forwards
years.
last year. He lost some of them. The guy he signed this offseason ain't working. He did bring in Matthias Ekholm. That's a really good defenseman.
hey, Ken Holland brought in Zach Hyman.
Yep.
Matthias
Evander
Ekholm,
Kane.
Evander Kane. Like he's done, he locked up Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah.
Right. So he's done a lot of good things, and he's taken his
Jan Mark.
yeah. Yeah, and Mark actually. You don't like Matthias Janmark?
No, I have no issue. He just loves the
No,
Iron Man.
because anyway,
Yeah,
it's an
Matthias
inside
Janmark has
joke.
helped.
Yeah.
I think. So he's taken swings, and like he'll say, when you take your cuts, sometimes you're gonna miss.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not afraid to admit that he's missed in the past.
Jack
They
Campbell's
missed
a
with
miss.
Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
They missed with
Yeah.
Jack Campbell. And now you have to convince the owner, hey, you know what? I signed this guy for $25 million. Is it okay if you were paying him $5 million to play in the minors? Right? Like you now the owner's looking at you. I'm paying this guy $5 million to be the starting goaltender for the Bakersfield Condors.
Well-
and you want to bring someone else in that I'm gonna have to pay another $6 million to? Like that's not say what you want about Daryl Cates. He is trying to win and he's done everything. Like he's opened the pocketbook,
Yeah.
saying, "Here's the puck, here's the money. Spend it wisely and try to win us the championship." He wants to win us the championship.
That last part, though, I think is going to start changing hockey, spending it wisely, where people just think that they should just spend to the cap. And I think we're going to start seeing some teams try to hold on to some cap
Well, you have
moving
to,
forward
yeah.
because of the flexibility it adds at the deadline or during the season, and the value that having $2 or $3 million in cap space brings is so crucial that it's an asset in itself. That I think we're going to start seeing more teams go, I can spend to the cap, but I'm not going to.
Well, everyone thought the cap would be like
Yeah, the COVID messed things up.
COVID messed things up. They were looking 3
100%.
years, 4 years in advance. Okay, the cap should be this, should be this, should be this, should be this, and it didn't. It didn't get there, and so I think, they're dealing with contracts that they thought the cap would be at a certain spot, and it's not at a certain spot. So.
It squeezed out like the middle man in the NHL, like player wise, the $3 to $5 million guy that
You're
is
either
a
real
good
cheap
veteran.
or real expensive.
Yeah, there's no go between now.
And that's what it's like in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
The NBA, you get your 4 starters are making $10 million a year. The guys sitting on the bench are making
It's their G League team. Yeah, it's their G League team.
This
Yeah.
is why sit on the bench and watch an NBA game. Basically, be practice guys. So like that's the way it is. It's really rich and really poor.
Dead cap space is one that I think teams need to be more leery of. The buyout. Oh,
hate
let's
the
buy
buyout.
this guy out. Let's buy this
Everyone
guy.
wants to buy out everyone.
Right?
And you
Like,
just stuck
it's
with dead space for long. And there's no way out of it except time.
Exactly.
The buyouts are tough. And
That's-
you look at
that's a harsh
Vegas,
one.
and it's funny because I followed Vegas last year, and everyone talks about they get every shiny piece on the market comes to Vegas. They make it work, but as Calvin McCrimmon said, we've never traded our first round pick,
Yep.
and we don't have a single buyout. We have no dead cap space, so they're doing something right over there.
Yeah.
right?
I also believe that in the Cup last year, they never played a roster that was over the actual cap. Everyone thought that the cap circumvention in the playoffs, they actually, every roster team that they put out
Right.
there, actually,
Yeah.
if you added up their salary of what it would have been for the year was less than the salary
even in the
cap.
playoffs.
Even it would have been less than the salary cap.
And that was the thing. Remember, we were talking about that, and someone made this suggestion. I can't remember if it was Frank or LeBron or someone. What if you have to dress a roster in the
Gordon Miller
playoffs?
was
Gordon
big
Miller,
on that one.
where it's
And
not over the cap. And
And I think the Golden Knights were under that pretty
Yeah.
much the entire playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like people want to be like they circumvent, but it's like during the regular season they had their moving parts, and
Fluctuating.
brought people back for the playoffs. But in the end, when you actually looked at their roster that they fielded,
Yeah.
during the playoffs, it was actually still under.
I know there are a lot of people that want that comeuppance to come for the Golden Knights. They
Yes.
want to see them fall in a way that is, just
They've never suffered.
They've never suffered. And
How could they
because
be
of
good
hockey,
and win and not suffer?
Hockey wants you, historically, has wanted startups,
Yeah.
expansion teams to go through the jaws of hell for years and years and years. You're going to earn it.
Yeah.
You're going to earn it. And there are a lot of people that feel that somehow they've, because of the way that expansion draft was put together and the rules around it, that Vegas somehow they're not authentic. Like somehow this is a bit of a magic show. And I don't agree for a minute. I think that they are going to be a case study for how you build a franchise.
Yeah. Oh, for
if they
sure.
aren't already. I mean, they should
They
be.
should be already for sure. Listen, people want to. You don't blame Vegas. You blame the rest of the league for they.
blame
was a
Dale
lot of-
Talon.
And he had some
He
terrible
got
moves.
fleeced.
Yeah, he did get fleeced.
Marchessault and Smith,
you like some of those moves that the GMs are making, other GMs are making. That
Yeah.
They panicked. They didn't think
Yeah.
it through.
is like no, those like
You've
what
got
they're
a
doing in Vegas.
capologist. How about an expansion draftologist
exactly.
Yeah.
who
Exactly.
understands like all of the implications? It's like Dale Talon thought they were, it's back to that Ottawa Senators Tampa Bay expansion draft. I don't know, just throw somebody out there.
Just
I don't.
give him this
Doesn't
guy.
matter.
Scored 40 goals for us last year.
Yeah, you can take him.
They can take him. It's like what? Like what are you doing? It's
Yeah.
just- yeah. It's just and they fleece the guys that There's some GMs there that are really good. Some GMs that are not so good. And Vegas
what's-
got GMs that are really good.
The Kraken beat the defending Stanley Cup champions in the first round last year.
Yeah.
Like Ron Francis did something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricky Olczyk, like there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Now they're struggling
Yeah.
this year.
Now,
but
if you're
whatever.
paying those incredible expansion fees, you should be able to ice a good team. You shouldn't have to.
Yes.
Go through that.
If I'm paying
Yes.
$500, $600 million for a
Yeah.
franchise, if there was something coming up, probably even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be crap for 10 years.
Yeah, it can't be crap for 10
I need to be competitive pretty early.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
Columbus is still crap. They've been crap for 22
Well,
years.
why
They've
is-
never had it.
Well, why is Jarmo Kakalainen
Well,
still their GM? He's the
that's a
longest
good
serving
question.
GM in the league.
They've had 3
Is he?
GMs.
Why is he
Yes.
there?
He's the longest serving?
Yeah.
Jeez, that time
Why is
flies
he
for
still
one.
there?
but-
It's like-
They've had 3 GMs. Can I list them off for you?
Yes.
If you're wondering why Columbus sucks and always has,
Don't go after my boy.
hang on. Doug McLean.
That's my boy.
Sorry, buddy.
I loved Doug
That
McLean when
was
we had him as a guest.
97 to 06 or whatever. He was terrible. Or to 08. Scott Housen.
Yep.
And then Jarmo Kekalainen.
Doug McLean, when I'd call him for hits, would just badmouth various things in hockey, players, whatever it is, just how poor they're playing. And he never brought the same energy on the hits because there were certain things you can't
Couldn't
say it
say.
on air.
Yeah.
But he'd tell me off there, and I just loved it. I loved the Doug McLean.
He's a
my
character
favorite.
for sure.
Oh God, yeah.
I miss Doug.
Yeah, but you're right. They're not. So the ownership there, and then like the mess with Babcock this year, and
Yeah.
how it all went down, and how not
That should have got his
everyone
job.
should have been lost their job. Like, we're starting from scratch. Like we're starting all over again. And so they might be some serious.
It's witness protection program.
Yeah.
That team, like it really is. Like
Yep.
I have to give myself a little bit of a pinch. Oh, that's right. Johnny Gaudreau is there.
Yeah.
Oh, right, that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like watching, when we laugh when we watch the Spengler, you go, that's where Tony Tanti's playing for Italy or some, world championship.
Yeah.
But Columbus feels like that now. You go, wow, that dude's there, eh?
They're still in hockey.
Or the Olympics where what's his face was playing for Korea. Who was that? The former Oiler. Plant. Plant. Is
Alex Plant?
Alex Plant.
Yes.
Playing
Because he had like
he was
some.
playing for South Korea
What?
Yeah.
at the Olympics.
There was
you
a
kidding me?
bad first round pick.
15th overall.
Well,
Nice guy.
Yeah, actually, but on expansion,
Yeah.
the NHL wants to do that. We're having the discussion. There's not enough goalies. Imagine if this NHL goes where they want to, which is 36 teams or whatever. We're going to add 4 more teams, and look at where the state of goaltending is right now.
Big guys who block pucks with no athleticism.
You'd have to I don't have a problem with that. You have to open up to, like the NBA opened up, to the world, and now you're getting the best players in the world in the NBA, and that the NHL have to. The best players in the world, will be coming here to play. So you'll get your Finnish goalies and your Russian goalies and your Swedish goalies, and so.
But don't we already
basically-
get that mostly?
Mostly,
Yes.
yeah, you do. But
Is there enough to
you're
fill out
gonna- yeah, you're
3 or
gonna-
4 more teams?
think
Pick it up, South America. Let's go.
South America's got to pick it up.
Start playing hockey.
Yeah. Actually, they had a tournament there this summer in LA, like a South American championship.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
they
awesome.
did, yeah. So
It's actually fun to go through the IHF members
like
countries
the
and seeing who
yeah.
some of the
Oh, I
countries
bet
are.
there's
Oh,
some
geez, like
obscure-
really?
They wear
have
full
a
cages.
Federation for hockey there.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
wow.
Yeah, like you could have like Qatar versus Saudi Arabia, and they play in the middle of a mall, but it's a IHF sanctioned
Yeah.
Yeah.
World
That's
Cup
great. God, I'd love to watch
D
something
game,
like that.
and they can barely skate, and their shin pads are too big, and their pants are too small, and they wear full cages.
Gotta start
but
somewhere.
it's the national teams.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah.
I am hyperbolizing, but they actually do have
Yeah.
those divisions.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they do play in small, tiny arenas, and they are IHF
I think
sanctioned.
with the solution to that is you got to somehow make hockey more affordable to middle class families.
The stick's $400 now.
Exactly. It's
$400.
Ridiculous. How much it's costing to put people on. Trust me, I know because I pay for Anderson's hockey. Right? So I know how much it's ridiculous how much it's costing right now. And I'm able to do it because I don't have kids of my own. I have a single. I have income and so I can
You have
do
more
that.
disposable income
More
because of that.
disposable income.
Once you don't have kids,
Exactly.
it's just
Right?
natural.
I can do that, but I think about a family of 5 and 5, 3 kids. They want to play hockey. Like, oh my god! Like they have to take out second mortgages on their houses. So they have to make the sport more affordable to everyone else, and then you're gonna get a better talent pool.
But that's a
bigger
20-year
talent pool.
cycle, right?
Well,
like
they
it takes
gotta
that long
figure-
to develop those players. Whereas if the NHL this decade wants to go to 4 more teams,
Yeah.
that's gonna right away. We're gonna see. To me, I just now point to the goaltending where it's like that's gonna
Good
be
point,
tough
Matty.
Yeah.
for those 4 teams, or like overall, it's gonna spread out through 4 more teams where you have to get 8 more goalies, and the Oilers still can't find a goalie, right? Like there's certain teams that just can't find that goalie, and you got 4 more teams coming in going, we need to find a goalie too. So this is the EST Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar. Tom, Dave, Derek, Matt with you here. Anyone that ordered EST merch, thanks to our official product partner, The Hive Product Marketing, products that bring the buzz, thehiveproductmarketing.com. Those got shipped on Friday, I believe. So you should be getting them early this week, at some
you
point
see that
this
text?
week. No.
Oh, someone asked about that. If they could track, and I was like, I think Maddie said last week it went out.
Well, yeah, and I believe everyone will get a tracking number sent to them today.
Nice.
But everything was shipped Friday. So if you're local, especially, you should be getting in the next couple of days here. If you are more national, might take just a little bit longer. But yeah, for especially anyone locally here in Edmonton, that's all should be coming this week in advance of Christmas. And again, that's all thanks to our official merch partner, the Hive Product Marketing, products that bring the buzz. I'm sorry to do this DVD, But do you want to talk Cowboys or?
Okay, listen, I was so upset with the Cowboys last night.
I didn't know if we could get there or not. I didn't know if we could get
Oh,
there or not.
here's Iwanyk.
No,
They
I
clinched
honestly
the
just wanna-
playoffs.
they're
The
a good football
Ravens.
team, but
You
what
played
happened
great last night, by the way,
Thank you,
Matthew.
the Ravens.
Okay, this is what last night.
Is there because I saw before the game the record like very different home and away.
Yeah,
that
they're very
team.
good at home, very different away, but they couldn't stop the run yesterday. And the Bills took that ball and pounded it down their throats,
Yeah.
and they couldn't stop the run. And then there's always moments in the game. There was a fumble that they didn't notice was a fumble that they could have challenged and got the ball back. There was a roughing the passer that can continue a drive.
Kept the drive, yeah.
Right? They had a roughing the passer, or someone tried to bury Dak when he was sliding, and the offensive lineman came in, and then those penalties canceled each other.
He
That
did
killed the
catch
drive.
Dak. He did catch
him.
Dak.
Yeah, and
I
then-
thought.
No, and then there was a second one where he was sliding and some guy plowed into
Yeah.
him. So there's a lot of little things that went wrong for the Cowboys, but I still contend I'm not a Mike McCarthy fan. That coaching is going to get them, and they're a good football team, but they couldn't stop the run. And I think the start of the third quarter, didn't the Bills go on like a 9-minute, 10-minute drive, and that's just like basically we're going to hand the ball off this guy, and we're going to pound it down your throats, and we're going to dare you to stop us, and they couldn't stop.
Yeah, and when you know what they're going to go to
Yeah.
and you still
You
can't
still
get
can't
it done, then that other team, they're running the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They were on the show. And
Yeah.
the Bills are a desperate football team. They needed that win. The Cowboys' big win was last week when they kicked the crap out of the Eagles,
Yeah.
which I said was going to happen. That was their big win. And now they're going to Miami next weekend. That's going to be really
That's going to
Should
be
be
a
a
fun
good
game
game.
to watch because Miami's trying to still get the top spot in the AFC. They're desperately going to need that win because then if they beat Baltimore the week after, they'll hold control of number one. If they lose, they'll absolutely have to beat Baltimore, but then hope Baltimore still stumbles somewhere else to get that. And then, the Cowboys are going to want to bounce back from that game.
Well,
But
when
like
you're-
the Bills are like, I would maybe argue the hottest team right now in the AFC. Like they're playing the best football maybe in the AFC.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Jake. Jake Allen. I think he's such a good quarterback. Throws such a good ball. Big, strong guy. But when things aren't going your way and you're getting pounded and you're in Buffalo, then it starts pouring on you, and all you're thinking about is like, let's get the hell out of this town. Like, let's get out of here. Like, just. And it was one of those things. I watched the second half, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. And then I went over to watch the Oil Kings game because I needed a pep. I needed to cheer me up, and they played well, so they won.
Big win.
So it was good.
Good.
It was good watching over. Yeah.
You want to talk about bad weather and people not showing up? How about Carolina yesterday?
Yeah, people like ripping on like the Elks for not having fans or something. That goes Carolina
You
for
could
an
get in
NFL franchise.
$4 you could have got in for.
Yeah.
Some are as low as like 50 cents.
No.
Depending on the
Yeah.
site you went to.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on the site. It was
Wow.
anywhere between 50 cents and $4 to get into the Panthers game yesterday.
And it looked like there was maybe like 6,000 people in a 75,000 seat stadium. It was unreal. The weather looked god awful, but
When you're
But
that
it's the
bad of a
NFL.
football
Yeah,
team,
you've
well,
got
the
2
shield is
wins.
supposed to be protected.
Right.
Like
Right.
everything is good, but you're that bad of a football team and you got bad weather. That's
Yeah.
a fan base that goes, screw
I'd
you.
rather do
You're not
Deuces.
getting our money for this.
Yeah.
And I respect the hell out of that from that fan base.
And you have to drive probably an hour to the game, an hour back. Like
it was in
Carolina-
Raleigh or Raleigh.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Raleigh. You ever been to Raleigh? You can't. There's no. You can't
Well,
walk
yes.
anywhere in Raleigh.
We were in Raleigh
Yeah,
together.
right. You can't, so you can't walk anywhere.
You
There's-
can't.
there's
Everything's a drive.
Yeah, you got to drive everywhere. You got to drive everywhere in Raleigh. There's nothing.
very
There's
spread.
nothing is walking.
Remember when the
distance in Raleigh.
Hurricanes were not the Hurricanes that we know them to be now? They were just sort of this downtrodden franchise. And before Dundon took them, bought them, a friend of mine said, well, we're talking about the Hurricanes' attendance and just the general apathy around the franchise. And he said, oh, what do you expect? The people down there, they just like to drive cars fast and smoke. Like, why would they care about hockey? And I went, that's a decent take on,
It's that because they did have. Well, they were in Greensboro for a
Yes.
while, which was like 45 minutes to an hour away, I think. And then they finally got their arena in Raleigh, and they're a college town, and they got the Panthers. But it's almost, what it's almost becoming? Like Nashville light. They do the
Yeah.
storm surge. They've had some success. It's turned into like a relatively decent hockey market where the fans care about the team.
Yeah, they're growing. They're growing
Yeah.
the market there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, Raleigh's like we're going to Raleigh.
Yeah, it's not a great
Not a
spot to
great
visit.
No, not fun.
The key is when the Hurricanes get bad again.
Could they? Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
you know what
Do they stay
franchise.
with you?
Are you staying or are they just there because you're succeeding?
Well, I
and
think-
that's the value of is that a good market or not type thing.
Yeah.
Are they still going to have the interest? Not necessarily go to games because
Yeah.
again, I do value that some fan bases sit there and go, if you're not good, I'm not giving you my money. Get good. But if they still are paying attention and following the team and talking about the team, then that's when you know if it's a good fan base or not, and if it's developed in Carolina. In my eyes, that's how I look at those type of things.
Well, yesterday's football game might be an answer to that.
Well, they don't even have the number 1 pick.
No.
Like the Bears hold it, right? Like, so you're a bad team and you don't even have that first overall pick to help fix your team.
Well, the Bears are screwed up. I think the Bears do.
Well, the Bears would be
Bears.
stick with Justin Fields, trade the first, go down, load up more picks, or grabbing a body and a pick, and you bolster your team. You build around Justin Fields. So there's a player there. I do believe. I do believe.
I'm not sure there is. I will have to disagree on that one. I think
So to go what? Get Caleb Williams?
God, the NFL gets its quarterbacks wrong so often.
Don't they?
They really
Yeah,
do. They know more about that position than any other in the sport.
Yeah.
There's more data available. There's more opportunities to see the players, be on the combine, and they still get it wrong.
Yep.
Again and again and again.
Yep.
It's a fascinating study on that position in sports.
well, the bad teams get it wrong over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's why they
So
stay
whatever.
bad.
Yeah.
When I got home yesterday, I went down a Josh Rosen rabbit hole.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Oh, deep
Yeah.
cut there.
Well, JMO makes a good point. They get quarterbacks wrong so much.
He didn't even get year 2.
No,
no, that's right. Did he go to Miami after? for a
Miami,
quick
he was
taste?
in Buffalo.
Fran.
Right.
Was he in San Fran?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
bounced. He never got a real chance.
he bounced around.
He was a
and
first round pick.
And it was the Steve Wilkes year where they
Yeah.
thrust him into the spot after they signed Sam Bradford and he got hurt. Oh my
Right.
god. Sam Bradford made like 20 million that year and I think he only started like 7 or 8 games. It was just a disaster season for the Cardinals, but I think Rosen was on the Elks negotiations list at one point. And he was the most NFL ready quarterback coming out of college. Fell to 10th overall, and then they put him in prematurely with no offensive line, and he was toast. And then Kyler Murray came in the next year.
Yeah.
Because Cliff Kingsbury came in.
You don't
my
have an
God,
offensive line. I
You're-
don't
you're
care how
done.
good your quarterback is.
If I ran a team, my offensive line would be so highly paid it would stun people.
Yeah.
They honestly, you're like, what? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I do it in the CFL and I would do it in the NFL. I mean, people would be like, guys, I would overpay to the point where guys would say, look, I can't take all of that money. I'm like, no, please do. Please do. It's
I
a great
insist.
investment. I insist. I insist. Please.
I think you build the team and then you bring the quarterback in. Build that O-line, build some of the other pieces, then go get your quarterback. But teams that are bad, well, let's get the quarterback. He'll turn things around. And then you got to build that team around them. And it's, I don't know, focus on the O-line. Ricky Ray, people ripped on Ricky Ray at the end of his time here with Edmonton because he was such a bad quarterback. I trade Ricky Ray. Well, it's because his O-line in front of him was crap.
Right.
He could only throw it to a 6-yard slant because there were 3 guys rushing him, and they got through with.
There was that one O-lineman that basically got cut after Labor Day once because he was blown past. Somebody destroyed Ricky, and then he didn't go help Ricky up.
Right.
I don't remember who that one was. I could
Poor
go find
Ricky,
it.
man.
Yeah,
He
but
was
it's
so
you need
good.
that O-line. You need the games are won in the trenches.
Yeah.
It's the same as looking at the defensive line. You need that strong defensive
You
line.
do. Like you saw it last, they were just bowling over the Cowboys.
JMO, let's get Ricky on the hangout.
I'm sure we could do that.
How's Ricky doing? What's he up to now?
I don't know, JMO.
He's living down in California and
Texting Cody Fajardo.
Yes, and just being a dad, just being a stay-at-home dad, and he drops the kids off, goes for a run, comes back, does whatever Ricky does in the day, probably very quietly because he doesn't make a lot of noise, and then he goes and picks the kids up and loving life.
Yeah. Seems like a good life.
Yeah.
Now, I know, talking to Jason Moss on the smash hit Bozone Live.
Yes.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, that's what's tricky.
Okay.
But Jason and I are on the show, and
This is
we
from
had a
H&M.
very
It's
good
just-
season 4.
I'm just
good.
But I just
I'm
wanted
trying
to
to
get
get
the plug
on the
in there.
Bozone. I'm just
Yeah,
hoping
well,
they'll,
you're
they'll
in,
claim
Maddie.
me.
Have you ever
Never once.
okay?
That's the next season we're planning on getting me in helping out with the tree stand. Anyway, Jason's on this show. He's one of our hunters, but this year obviously couldn't make
Little
it.
busy.
But last year when he was with the Riders and their season ended a little bit early and he had time to hunt, he came in and he co-hosted with me. And then him and I had a couple of social sparklers after the show with the cast and the staff. And I asked him about Ricky, and he goes, "Man, I want to get Ricky in somewhere. Like, he's just, when he's ready, he can come and work with me, no problem. But he's just not at that point." And I was like, "Damn, dude, like that must be cool to have, like your bro, and you can call him up, be like, now you ready? Now you ready? No, okay. Well, we have Anthony Calvillo. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Well, it's a hard life. A coaching life is a hard life, and a coaching life in the CFL is not lucrative, and the hours are crushing.
Yeah, the hours are crazy, and coaches. People don't realize how much time they actually put into coaching. And I remember
Some of that's because they're insane.
Well, I remember Tom Rennie had really beat him up because he would spend he'd be in the office at whatever 7 a.m. and wouldn't leave till 8 o'clock at night on non-game days.
Yes,
it's just wow, you guys spend a lot of time here. It's just draining. It just drains you. Whatever, regardless of what you're doing, if you're putting in those type of hours, even if you love what you do, it's just a drain mentally.
You need the mental break.
Yeah, you need the break.
Yeah, and the kind of work they do, you succeed and fail in public.
Yeah.
And having been and had an office around the corner from all our coaches at the Eskimos for virtually all of the time I was there, people sleeping in their chairs, and one guy would sleep beside the photocopier, and because the thought was, well, if I get up, I know that guy in BC gets up, Dan Durazio gets in the office at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to be here at 2:20. And then you get into that whole thing, because if that guy over there has watched 300 game films, then I'm going to watch 301.
Yeah.
And then you can't get out of that cycle.
Yeah.
Seemingly, I mean, some do, but it's a burnout business.
That's where I wanted Kahari Jones to succeed, because he looked like he was not
able to have
that.
some fun.
He was dancing on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So I hope he gets another shot one day in the
Like I saw a
football
story,
league.
Belichick is still grinding his staff in New England. Like you're doing 15-hour days. You're done. You're cooked. He'll be done.
Yep.
They'll all be gone, and they're still grinding people down to a fine powder.
Well, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose because of hard work.
Right. Yes. Yes.
We put everything in, but we still lost.
And a
It's not
woefully constructed team.
Yeah.
It's not an easy.
That's what whoever takes
No.
on Bill Belichick, it can't be GM. That'd be.
But isn't that part of why he wants that next opportunity? Is he wants say on the roster or on the
Well, I think part of it is
GM
that
decision-making?
actually Robert Kraft's ready to just move on.
Ah.
I think this
Yeah.
is the Patriots going, we can't have you keep doing this. Like, we need to start a new rebuild type thing, and
Yeah.
we're not going to put this in the hands of a 70-some-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to have to put this in hands of someone else, and let's do this as peacefully and mutually as possible. But like the two top teams would be Washington or LA right now. I'm not letting him be a GM. The biggest problem I think Bill Belichick's had the last few years is GM. The GM has failed the head coach. And there comes a point where like, hey, if he's just that, if I'm the Chargers, I want him as my head coach. See what he can do with that offense and with the defense.
Yeah.
Like
That's fair.
there's a quarterback there, there's receivers there, there's running back there. He doesn't have to build an offense, and he's a defensive guy. Let's see what you could do there. But it'd be if it's full player personnel, not a chance. I don't want you messing with what we have here. We'll go find someone who's
I don't know if I'd
build the
hire
right
him,
structure as
to
a head
be
coach.
honest with you. I don't know. Like I respect the hell I think everybody should for what he's done, but I'm not sure if I were Dean Spanos in LA, if I would say that's our guy.
The reason I would as a owner still, if I had that money, would be just straight up because he's done it, and it's if I could remove, I want to see what he can do without being the GM. If is there still that coach there that can go win? And we've seen him when he has the quarterback, he can go win.
Who was there in New England? Was it Scott Pioli, or was he the player personnel guy when they had? I mean, they had.
He was a player
lot of
personnel
success.
guy. He ultimately went to Atlanta and became their GM or something, but then came back. I think he might, or did he go to KC? I think it was KC, and then he
yes.
came back or something.
Right. No, I'm just trying to think who was the GM, and it wouldn't be easy to be the GM of Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever.
Imagine those meetings.
Yeah.
I think it was always Bill kind of ran things because for a while Bill was a great GM.
Oh yeah.
He was never tied to his first round pick. If a first round pick was poor, he cut bait right away.
Right.
which is sometimes the best thing you could do instead of trying to
Yeah.
keep him going. While we wasted the first round pick on him, we're going to try 2 or 3 more years, and you've just wasted away a couple more years instead of replacing him. He wasn't afraid to trade Richard Sherman or not Richard Sherman, Richard Seymour, and all those guys. He moved guys away from guys quicker than a lot of other GMs would, and replaced them quite well. But then there's a point where, like, look at his draft record lately. Last 8-9 years, he doesn't draft
It's
anyone.
horrendous. It's you know what it is. It's blindfold and darts.
Yeah.
It's just a poof.
It's not there
who
anymore.
did we get? Professional sports are unsympathetic.
Yeah.
They are cruel. But I don't know if anybody is less sympathetic than Bill Belichick when it comes to how he handles either draft picks or seemingly people. Like some of that is obviously self-preservation. But man, when you talk about God, that guy's cold.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's anyone who does the chill quite like Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I like the idea of fresh ideas, young coaches coming in here. And I like that the NHL is going that direction.
Not under the McVay tree, of course. That's faltered many, many times anyway.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that, okay, we got to stop recycling these old coaches. I mean, we got to get some new, fresh ideas in here and give opportunities to some young guys and some young coaches who've dealt with this generation of player and they understand them a little bit more. And I like that idea of that. And I like that, we're seeing some good young coaches in NFL and in hockey and different aspects of that. I think you recycle the same tread after a while. It just becomes boring.
I think Cliff Kingsbury is the only one out of the McVay tree that's gone.
Oh, is he really?
I think because Zach Taylor in Cincinnati is still there.
still there.
It was Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, and it was it just those 3?
Maybe I'm bitter.
No, I know, but that's like But
Where does Mike McDaniel land in that? No, he's with the Kyle Shanahan group, right? Because wasn't he? Weren't they all in Washington?
I
McVay,
think so.
Yeah.
Because like it was funny because I remember that. I remember the Cliff Kingsbury hire specifically because the Cardinals had to do a second press release because the first press release they put online mentioned Sean McVay.
Yeah.
That he coached for Sean McVay. And I was like, well, don't mention that he coached with this other
It was
they had to take that out. But that offseason was like if you serve Sean McVay coffee,
Yep.
you were becoming an OC for a team. Like they wanted anything connected with. But yeah, when I think it was LaFleur, Taylor, it was Cliff Kingsbury, and I can't remember if there was a fourth one. But Kingsbury was you guys.
Yeah.
Well, he was 500 in college.
I know
It
he
made
had just
no
gotten
sense.
fired.
I know. It was,
They're like he's the new guy in Arizona.
But he was, and it happens almost every
was a hot
year.
guy
is
for that.
hot guy.
yeah.
And he was actually the embodiment of hot guy.
Yep.
You know, good looking dude,
Yeah.
really good with the media. You know, and okay, then he must be great.
17th best Winnipeg Blue Bombers back up in Winnipeg Blue Bomber history.
17th.
17th.
I'm just saying
yeah.
he was a Bombers backup.
Zach Taylor was a Bombers quarterback.
Yes, he
wasn't
was.
Was
Yeah.
it Bombers?
Yes. Yeah, Zach Taylor was there.
Man, Bombers just know how to produce backup NFLs.
That's
They're
right.
NFL guys.
Yeah.
Chris Strevler going to be a soon NFL head coach.
Sean Payton, Ottawa Rough Rider.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think just a training camp. I don't think he ever saw the field in
Steve
the season.
Scarcesian, Texas head coach in the playoffs.
Sarkeesian, yeah.
Yeah. Regina. It was
Yes.
Saskatchewan. Rough Riders.
Yes.
He was there. So CFL knows how to produce, I guess.
They're on to
We can
something.
go with that. I don't know if you guys saw that. It sounds like Chris Jones might hire a DC here.
Good.
There's
Should.
rumblings of
Yep.
Jason Shivers coming as a defensive coordinator here in Edmonton,
Should.
which is
Less responsibility,
but
more
giving up the
focus in
DC
certain
role,
areas,
which we have not seen from Chris Jones in his time as a head coach in the Canadian Football League.
that secondary got cut up pretty good through the middle on a lot of nights. Maybe Shivers can help with that if he's the guy that's coming in.
He'd be a great pickup.
Yeah.
I think he's a future head coach in this league. I think just because the Riders were bad, he didn't get considered this year, but he's a good DC.
Yeah, and
Give him some players and he could produce.
Yeah.
And Jones, you know, as good as we're led to believe he can be when he's got all the resources, but he also needs time. You know, GM and head coach.
Yeah, he's
is
not
a
giving up
lot.
the GM role, so you got to give up something.
Okay, then
And maybe
something's got
that's
to
the
go.
DC.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot on his plate. You can tell it's a lot.
Yeah. And I think now that stupid coach's cap or staff cap needs
They're
to
clear.
go in this. Yeah. But he had, I think it was $500,000 tied up in salaries to other coaches that were no longer on the staff.
Yeah, Rick Lawlisher was on with the Turf District last week.
Nice.
Friends of EST, and he
Good get.
confirmed that the Elks are clear from the coaching cap.
Good.
So, I think Chris Jones has 2 more years.
Yes.
So if they get rid of
This
him
year
next
and
year,
next.
it'd be 1 more year that they'd have to pay him for 1 year.
Yeah.
But the Elks are finally clear. And I know Chris Jones, when he got hired, one thing that did hurt was because of that coaching cap, he could only hire it was 9 coaches or something.
Yeah.
When most teams had 11 or 12. And so he was short-staffed right off the bat, which doesn't help.
We did the interviews when I got to do those a couple of games for the broadcasts. He just straight up said, he's like, I got $500,000 tied up in coaches that don't even work for the organization anymore. Like, I could have hired a bunch of guys for that. So it does hurt. Yeah, I hate that coach's cap rule.
It was I can't believe that they don't see it as a league that this is
Stupid.
it's harming it in many
Yeah.
ways,
It hurt
and
the
that
league.
they're not trying to get rid of it. Like the thing that they sound like they're going to do, based on
Phase
what we
it
heard,
out.
Grey Cup was they'll add a second mulligan, so you could take a second contract and put it off the books.
Just phase it out. Phase it out. Like, remember, it was the Eskimos that always had the deep pockets, and there was Saskatchewan that didn't, and they're the small, struggling organization. I think that world has shifted a little bit now.
Well, salary management system was brought in. Do I have this right?
Because Chris Jones went to the salary cap.
Salary cap.
Yeah.
It was called SMS, I think, salary management system, whatever. But you're right. Cap is. I might be a little off on that. And prior to that, the Eskimos had a lot of money. I mean, they had it after the cap, but prior to that, there was a lot of money under tables.
A lot of ATCO employees in that double E locker room. Hey?
Yeah. Yes, there were. Jimmy Ray's Bar and Grill. Doug Peterson, bartender? Oh, okay, sure. Terry Vaughn, groundskeeper at Telus Field. Really?
Yes.
Wow, I've never seen you doing the infield, but in the 7th inning stretch,
Those
Terry.
lines are painted perfectly.
Yeah, wow, you did a great job, and you played a game Friday night for the Eskimos. I don't know how
On
you
the
do
road.
it. On the road. It's amazing what you're able to do. But yeah, when those days it leveled the playing field, and frankly it needed to get leveled.
Yeah.
The league. I mean, there was such disparity. It wasn't equitable.
The coaching cap understood because Chris Jones went to Saskatchewan, he was hiring too many people. They had this massive. They were trying to get NCAA NFL style,
Right,
where you
yeah.
don't have just a receivers coach, you have an assistant receivers coach.
Yeah, quality control.
I would think that you could go to something where it's you could only have X number of people on your staff. You can't be more than 18 people on your staff.
That's a robust staff. I know, although
Or whatever the number, whatever the
compared to
proper
the
number
NFL.
would be for it. But I think that's a way you could maybe handle the staff, where then you try to keep salaries and budget, and you're not just having coaches come in. Well, I also need another coach for here and another coach for here, and because that was one of the reasons why Chris Jones went there. And one, he got a lot of money.
Yeah.
But two, was trying to hire a bunch of coaches and spend a lot of money on coaches, and it was the league's we can't have that get out of control across the board here.
Right. So they, in true sort of CFL fashion, but they're not alone in this, is they react to the most flagrant abuser of the system and impose all of that when it really was them specifically, and then screwed the whole system for everybody else.
And then see the unintended consequences, which is now what
Right.
we've seen with Edmonton and Ottawa. When you are poor, it is very hard to get back good to find the right coach.
Yeah.
Because you get in the cycle of, you can't get rid of bad coaches. Or if you do, you're limiting what the next coach could come in and do.
Right. And whether this sounds terrible, I guess, on a level, but firing a coach, making a change, is one of the escape hatches for a professional sports team to signal to their fan base we are making a change, and perhaps a positive change. Firing a coach can reignite fan interest, whether it's, it doesn't matter if it's going to work, but in the moment, it's okay, we suck. Here's what we're doing about it.
Yeah.
Him, gone. Here are the new people. That's been gone. The Elks haven't been able to play that if that's the way they were going to go. So they truly have to find the solutions from inside.
In an hour and 40 minutes. It's the famous Toastery Bowl. We got Western Kentucky taking on Old Dominion. Who you guys got? 7-5 Western Kentucky, 6-6 Old Dominion. Western Kentucky, we still don't know the status of quarterback Austin Reed, as it's uncertain for the famous Toastery Bowl out in
Famous Toaster Bowl.
Well, I know what's going to be
Carolina.
on our TV out here.
Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll be in my office. Don't worry.
Wait a
I'll
minute.
just be doing it by myself.
How long till kickoff, and we still
It's
don't know?
12:30. Well, it's
He's
an hour and 40 minutes or whatever.
Like,
But,
would that not an hour before kickoff? Would we not
Oh,
have
this
to know
was
the
from
fate
this
of?
was an AP report from yesterday.
Oh, damn
so I,
it.
I
Okay,
haven't
so
done
I'm
the full
guessing.
look.
So we're now for kickoff here. So when I get home tonight after my nephew's soccer game at 8 o'clock, they'll still be playing. You know, we've had that conversation.
Yes, we have.
How long college
That's
football games
yeah.
take? Bowl games take even longer.
Average
Right.
college
Yeah.
football
It's
4
an
hours.
game
it's a
duration.
marathon.
Yeah, 4 hours. And the bowl games because
3 hours and 22 minutes.
That's a long time.
Ooh.
And
That's
the
what
bowl
it is.
games, that's an average, right? So that includes your.
Hey, it's 12:30. Give me afternoon sports of anything. I will gladly take a 4-hour football game between.
All of your sponsor rubs and touches, right? You got to work it during the
it's-
broadcast.
I've been to those
Jesus.
college football games where a guy comes out literally with a clock on a stick, says 3 minutes, and he'll come out. There's a kickoff. The guy runs out of the field, plants the clock, 3 minutes, and everyone's like, "Okay, we got 3 minutes."
But we're
he
at the
comes
famous-
off the field. Guy comes in. There's a punt. There's a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Runs on the field with the clock. 3 minutes, and then there's like 3 minutes of nothing's happening. The band might be playing or something, or he runs off the clock. You know,
Well, isn't there something like 11 minutes of actual action in the course of an NFL game?
Yeah, it's
Like-
like baseball. I think is the lowest.
Yes.
Hockey is the highest. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
naturally, it's a 60-minute game. It's 60 minutes of action because it start stop. NBA is 48. Soccer, I think, is closer to 30.
well, soccer. Well, no, soccer. Well, there's
Well, the
obviously
stoppage is the clock's
yeah.
running, right?
Yeah,
Average.
but yeah, for football, like 4.5 hour football game to watch 11 minutes of action.
Think about
And-
it. But that's the
and
great thing about the
College
spectacle.
stadiums
Yes.
that don't serve alcohol.
I know.
I mean, you're killing me here, USC. I had a conversation about that the other day. Like, okay, the pregame party was great.
Yep.
You know, like you're walking around campus. All these kids have been drinking since 9. They're all passed out. Are you guys going to the football? Oh, yeah, I just need a quick nap. Then we'll go to the football game. We get to the football game. Can I order a beer? No. You can order a $10 lemonade. I'm like, it's a 4.5 hour game and I can't have a beer? No. So I'm like, okay. And then, I noticed the guy with the clock.
NFL's 18 minutes.
Oh, 18, eh? Wow.
And this doesn't make sense. This is average. So now these numbers
That
are a
seems
little
high.
off.
I know there's TV timeouts in hockey, but can
Yeah,
you
of
imagine like
course.
every stoppage, a guy goes to center ice and puts a clock down and say, fans, we're not going to start playing for another 3 minutes. It comes off.
It's quite frustrating. Like I get annoyed by in football, and I think the CFL has started
Baseball's
to do this.
18 and soccer's 55.
But I get annoyed by the kickoff with the touchback, and you just came out of a break,
Going
and
back
then you're
to a
going
break.
right back into
Yeah.
a break. You're like, oh my god!
Yeah.
All we saw was a touchback. Like
Yeah.
But in the end, none of this is the famous toastery bowl.
None of
Touche.
it is.
Amazing.
Nothing
That
is
is
With
really.
Western,
Thank you for
Nothing
bringing
is
it back
really.
to that.
this is like, and you get a chance to watch Western Kentucky and,
the
Old Dominion
the
today.
half times will be 25 minutes because both bands will be out there. And
Old Dominion,
they do,
six
like,
and a
the
half
usual-
points favorites in this one.
They
You could
should
bet-
be, based on what they've done.
You can, you
And
can
their
bet
rich
that at
history.
Coolbet right now.
Yes, I'm sure you
Coolbet.com.
can.
Oh, you can bet on all the bowl games. Only at,
Yes.
well, not only at Coolbet, but you could bet it all at Coolbet.
Yes.
Build a nice little parlay. But maybe Monday Night Football and a famous toastery bowl parlay for
Same
tonight
day
if you
parlay,
want.
correct?
Absolutely.
There you
Same
go.
day parlay between those two. Dave, I love how you know all of the.
Yeah.
I'd like to read it. One
Go
last
for it.
text from Big Dave. Says,
Large
hey,
Dave.
fellas. I noticed Dave stated his love for heavier music on Twitter over the weekend. I'd like to send a thanks to him for switching me on to Mayhem in the AM on CJSR. And I'm wondering what are some of his favorite heavy bands he's enjoying these days. Killer show today, guys, from Big Dave. Thanks,
Love
Big Dave.
CJSR.
Yeah, CJSR.
Support community radio.
Horns up for those guys and Mark Rogers, who does this show called Mayhem in the AM, which is an awesome title, show moniker, Friday mornings on CJSR. And I was listening last week, and I'm driving where it doesn't matter where I was going, and I threw it on, and it absolutely blistered the vinyl on my dashboard. Like it was so heavy. And you're thinking a person of my age probably shouldn't be listening to something like that. But there was some great Canadian metal. I think it was like Goat's Horn or something. And I went, this musical outfit they rock. Like it was some really cool stuff.
And
Anyway,
Eric
yes.
is probably right there. Yep, that's a great band. He would
Occasionally,
know.
I like a good sort of dollop of that in my diet.
Great station.
Yeah.
Great station. DVD, Dave, thanks for coming in again. And
Always good.
Merry
Always a
Christmas,
pleasure.
Happy New Year to both of
Same
you
to
and
you.
yours.
Continued success
There's
with
a
all
big
of this.
mall down the street, right? I can do some shopping there.
Yeah, it's very close.
That's Actually, this time of day, it's not.
You know
I
what?
would be think like you could find
Let's be
parking.
honest. I'm going to do my shopping at the Oilers store, right? Everyone's getting Oilers stuff.
It's going to turn the season around.
Go see Jack and Ken at Pro-Am.
Yeah,
Hook you
I'll
up.
do that. I'll do that. Go watch the
Coming up next, it is the Lock Shop. Dusty and us have a big weekend to recap, as well as the Monday Night Football best bets for today. Maybe they'll get a little Old Dominion, Western Kentucky action out there. Maybe we'll get some of that. And then at
Sounds
noon,
awesome.
Tommy is back with Dusty. As it is the Oil Stream, you'll recap the loss to the Panthers this past weekend and look ahead to this road trip and what the Oilers should do. That's coming up at noon right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, edmontonsportstalk.com, on our TuneIn, as well as right here on the YouTube channel as well. On behalf of Tommy, Dave, Derek, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in to the EST Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Lock Shop coming up in minutes.